captain Bruno Fernandes, Alejandro Garnacho and Anthony Martial. And United, they're up against a team in decent form in Bournemouth who are unbeaten in their last 4, winning 3 of them. Their most recent outing saw them claim a 2-0 win at Crystal Palace on Wednesday, and manager Andoni Iraola has made 1 change to his 11, with Marcus Tavernier returning from injury, coming in for Luis Sinisterra. The full team is Neto in goal, then Adam Smith, Ilya Zabarnyi, Marcos Senesi, Milos Kerkez, Lewis Cook, Ryan Christie, Antoine Semenyo, Justin Kluivert, Marcus Tavernier and Dominic Solanke, who, by the way, is still eligible to play for Nigeria. I'm really looking forward to this one. Manchester United versus Bournemouth, with kick-off a few minutes away.
Jackson, both teams in the last 5 games have only lost once. And funny enough, they've got a very similar form, haven't they? They've lost once, won 3, and they drew 1. But for Bournemouth, they're more or less... They're doing very well in the table, and with everything being deducted the 10 points, which we cannot ignore, they're in a very good position at the moment, league-wise, haven't they?
Yeah, I'd say they are. Of course, there's a new manager in Iraola. There were some rumblings at the start of the season that the players weren't necessarily subscribing to his methods, but as I mentioned earlier, they're unbeaten in 4, and one of those victories they got to start the run was against Newcastle, which is a very impressive return from them. So it's sort of good that they've stuck with Iraola. I don't think there have been any Premier League managerial sackings yet this season, which is always nice to see. Sometimes I think some of the owners in football are a bit trigger happy when it comes to sacking managers, but yeah, I think Bournemouth fans can be very happy with how things are going right now.
And about Manchester United, they're 6th in the league. They can go level on points with Manchester City, who are in 4th with 30 points. It's been improvement, hasn't it, under Ten Hag? Obviously, it's probably getting the manager of the month is justified, but performance-wise, it has been better. But what sort of puzzles me is Marcus Rashford, he's probably not having the best of seasons, but surely a game against Bournemouth will be the game when you can see Rasmus Hojlund coming in today, isn't he, and probably trying to break his deadlock in the Premier League.
Yeah, absolutely. I swear from the beginning of the season, there's just been this ongoing this perception that there's a crisis at Manchester United, but they're quietly going about their business in the league. Obviously, they've got a mission to get out of their group in the Champions League, but in the league, they're doing pretty well. And it's quite astounding that they could go level on points with Manchester City with a win. But yeah, Marcus Rashford, he's had a really, really bad season. He plays in real purple patches. I'm very surprised that Anthony Martial started. Rashford was anonymous in their defeat to Newcastle last weekend, but Martial, I think, was not much better. So I'm a bit surprised because Hojlund, while he's not scored in the Premier League yet, he has looked very, very sharp in the Champions League, scoring 5 times so far this season. So yeah, I'm interested to see what kind of Anthony Martial we get, because when he's in the mood, he can be like near unplayable. He is a very classy player, but in the 8 years he's been at Old Trafford, we simply have not seen it enough.
No, absolutely right. Anthony Martial is one of these players, when he's in the mood, like you said, Jackson, he will definitely score you, not just probably 1, but a couple that day. Thank you very much, Jackson Cole. We'll be going back to Old Trafford for all the latest as it happens. Next, let's go to Molineux. It's Wolverhampton Wanderers against Nottingham Forest. Now, everyone got Mr. Bond in their head, and we've got our own Mr. Bond, and that is Richard. Good afternoon, Richard.
Good afternoon, Sean. Thank you for the good welcome. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Molineux, where we have a fascinating match this afternoon, but at the wrong end of the table, between 13th place Wolves and 16th place Nottingham Forest. Comfortably sitting in mid-table, Wolves 1-0 victory over Burnley man. Gary O'Neill will target this Forest game, an opposition which they've only lost once in 11 matches to gain his side's first back-to-back victories of the season, win which could break Wolves in the top 10 tonight. Keen to their revival in recent weeks under former Bournemouth boss, in the form of Hwang Hee-chan. He has 8 goals in the league this season. 6 of them have come at Molineux, where Wolves are unbeaten in the last 5. South Korean starts up front once again, as you can expect, in the lineup has just made 1 change. Goalkeeper Jose Sarr returning after missing the last 2 games with a back problem. For visitors Nottingham Forest, it's 4 defeats in a row for manager Steve Cooper. It's ramped up the heat on the Welshman, this side just 4 points outside the relegation zone after just 1 win in 11 games. Unsurprisingly, after the 5-0 battering at Fulham, Cooper's ripped up his side and changed his shape with 6 changes, handing a start to Matt Turner in goals. Moussa Niakat comes into a back three, while Senegal midfielder Cheick Kouyaté will bring a bit more steel into midfield. Regular Morgan Gibbs-White is recalled to provide service to Anthony Elanga, who takes up that lone striker's role in the absence of Taiwo Awoniyi, who has undergone groin surgery and is likely to be out for some time. Forest have won just once in their last 18 matches away from home, and only manager in the Premier League history than Steve Cooper has the worst record than that in that time period. Ominous stuff for Forest, but can they get an upset today? It's Wolves versus Forest in a couple of minutes' time.
Richard, let's start with Forest quickly. Steve Cooper, he's been under a lot of pressure, and there's been so many rumours, isn't there, in the UK that this is going to be his last game unless you win. Now, it's no pressure, is it, on Steve Cooper in this circumstances, but away to Wolves, which is more or less a Midland derby, if you may say, it's not going to be the easiest task, isn't it? It's probably wanted a home game to try to prove himself that he is still the man for Forest for this season.
Personally, I think Cooper's sides work well with backs against the wall. You know, I've known him for his time at Swansea. I've seen him done there. He's done wonders with a limited squad. The players are fully behind him. There's no signs that the fans have turned on him either. So, whereas, you know, the press are perhaps calling it as well, it's a must-win game for him. But I think Cooper has the backing. And some of the players he's brought in today are quite interesting. So he brought in club captain Ryan Yates as well. Kouyaté, I said already. Some of these players, you know, the combative players, they'll be looking to these. Morgan Gibbs-White, leader on the pitch. This is what they'll need this afternoon if they're to get anything out of this match against Wolves. But I do fancy them getting something here. It should be an interesting game.
And as for Wolves, they're at home. They're 13th with 18 points. I think probably some people were expecting a bit more from them, isn't it? I mean, the way Gary O'Neill plays his football at Wolverhampton is absolutely beautiful, and it's been effective. They've been probably hard done by, haven't they, in about 3 or 4 penalty shouts, which is very, very debatable, and that would have got them more points and definitely high in the league. But Hwang Hee-Chang, I mean, everyone talks about Heung-min Son, a Korean superstar in the Premier League, but Hwang Hee-Chang is doing brilliantly, isn't he, this season? He can't stop scoring, can he?
No, in fact, there's only 3 players in the league that have scored more goals than his 8 this season. And as I was saying, you know, he's got 6 at home, so you wouldn't bet against him scoring again this afternoon. Wolves, they have been improving this season in terms of the goal-scoring output. You know, after being such a, probably would say, more of a negative team last year. You know, scrambling for the odd points here and there. But now they're at that kind of balance. Really, do they push on? Do they try and get into that top 10? Can they get there, or is it going to be a case of, you know, this is where their season kind of lays, which kind of plays into Forest's hands, I think, a little bit. And you know, it's kind of finding that balance. But they do have some really good players. Cunha's a good player. Sarabia, we've seen him for Spain. You know, there's no bad team in the Premier League these days. So, got to be on your game if you want the points.
Thank you very much. That was Richard Bond, and the game is just kicked off at Wolverhampton Wanderers. In fact, all 4 games that kicked off. So let's go very quickly for the remainder of our team news. Next, we're going to go to Bramall Lane. In fact, I can tell you... No, I can't tell you anything. We're just going to carry on with the team news. Next, let's go to Bramall Lane. We've got Jamie McKeag there for Sheffield United against Brentford. Good afternoon, Jamie. Sheffield United, new manager, second game in charge. I mean, 3-4 days ago at home to Liverpool, they've lost 2-0, but you can see the changes already, isn't it, in the performance-wise for Sheffield United. But is that going to be enough for them for this season? Good afternoon, Jamie.
Thank you very much, John, and hello, Football Live. It's a first return to the Bramall Lane dugout for Chris Wilder since the first time since March 2021. However, he has got a massive task on his hands, as you did say. Sheffield United are without a win in their last 3 Premier League games and without a goal in their last 2. To make matters worse, they've also conceded the second most amount of goals in all of Europe's top 5 leagues this season. Despite their poor form, Wilder has gone once again for an unchanged team, but Thomas Frank, the Brentford manager, has had to do some thinking ahead of today's game. The Danish manager lost his star man from this season, Brian Mbeumo, to injury midweek, and has been forced to change formation from a 4-4-2 to a 4-3-3, with Neil Maupay leading the line and Ioane Wissa returning to the starting 11 at right wing. Nigerian international Frank Onyeka starts for his 7th Brentford game this season, and 19-year-old Nigerian winger Michael Olakigbe will be hoping Thomas Frank gives him some minutes off the bench today. As the weeks go on, the bottom three becomes more and more obvious, and Everton, with their points deduction, are flying. So a win today is crucial for Sheffield United, and this would be a perfect start for Chris Wilder's home tenure, with his second tenure in charge of the Blades. If any man can pull off a major upset with Sheffield United, it's definitely Chris Wilder.
I mean, Jamie, so many people believe in that second stint, or some people say it's not always best to come back to where we were before. But I mean, Chris Wilder's record at Sheffield United in his first stint has been absolutely brilliant, wasn't it? Now, they are bottom with 6 points. They've conceded 41 goals, only scored 11. Is that a right time for Chris Wilder to be able to keep Sheffield United, or they are dead and buried already in the season?
I mean, we're only 15 games in, so you can say a team is dead and buried. However, it doesn't look likely, and I'm not a betting man, but I don't think I'd bet in Sheffield United staying up. However, you said if Chris Wilder was the right man, I think he might be. You know, Sheffield United are all over the place in the minute. They need a firm head. They can address the dressing room and get it working. And Chris Wilder has shown time and time again that he can get it working with Sheffield United. The fans are behind him. The fans are going to get behind him and continue to spur them on. And I think in a game like this at Bramall Lane today, that 12th man, the crowd, is going to be massive. So I do think Chris Wilder is the right appointment. However, do they stay up? I'm not sure their chances increase massively, but I think that's down to the quality around them, not actually Sheffield United or Chris Wilder.
Thank you very much. That was Jamie McKee for the game for Sheffield United against Brentford. Now, next, let's go to our fourth game in the Premier League, and that is Brighton against Burnley with Matt Temporal. Good afternoon, Matt. It's a game, shall we say, Brighton, they've been playing very good football, haven't they, of late? Well, for the last couple of seasons, but they sort of took the gas off a bit, didn't they? Now, is the team news today reflects on what De Zerbi wants from his team today?
Well, good afternoon, John, and good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, well, the team news today kind of reflects De Zerbi's attitude all season, and that is rotation. He's made 6 changes to the team today, including a change in goal, Mark Verbruggen, and the return of the suspended Lewis Dunk to the back four. Among the players missing out are Kaoru Mitoma and midweek goal scorer Jack Hinchelwood. There have been 3 changes for Burnley also. Jordan Bayer, Johan Berg Gudmundsson and Wilson Odobert come into the starting 11. I think Brighton are just starting to show signs of that early season form. Once again, they did suffer a spirited defeat to Chelsea last week, but midweek had an encouraging victory against Brentford, who are obviously a good side as well. Burnley, they'll be disappointed that they haven't built on that 5-0 mauling of relegation rivals Sheffield United last weekend, and they fell to a narrow defeat at Wolves midweek, courtesy of some usual generous defending from the Clarets. We have just got underway here at the Amex. A few minutes gone. It's currently 0-0.
And I can tell you what, we had our first goal in the afternoon in the Premier League.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Well, there is something called the Curse of Manager of the Month. Now, has it started already? Possibly so. It's Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 1. In the 5th minute, Dominic Solanke has scored for Bournemouth. And what a start for the away team. We'll be going to Jackson Gold very, very shortly on the news of that goal. I can tell you there's more other surprising results happening as we speak, and that is in the German Bundesliga. 35 minutes gone is Eintracht Frankfurt 3, Bayern Munich 0. Now that is a big, big result for Eintracht Frankfurt, and Bayern Munich, well, I don't know what's happening there, but I can tell you what, Jackson Cole knows what's happened at Old Trafford.
Well, what a shot we could have on our hands here. It's Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 1. The goal has been scored by Dominic Solanke, his 9th goal of the season, and a very tidy finish indeed from the England under-21 international, who is still eligible for Nigeria. As I said, it was bad defending from Man United. A clearance was very well intercepted by Lewis Cook. He bombed down that right wing, found Solanke with a low cross, who brilliantly flicked the ball in with his back heel. Andre Onana, absolutely no chance. And you know what? So far, Bournemouth have been pretty good value for it. I thought inside the first minute they were going to get a penalty. It was a dodgy back pass by Luke Shaw to Onana. Solanke intercepted it. It went down and then it went out for a goal kick. and I thought it was a penalty, but replay showed there was actually no contact between Solanke and Onana. So, massive shock so far. Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 1.
Thank you very much, Charles Jackson Cole. We're going back to Jackson very, very shortly as well on more news, and we're going to have probably a two-way chat. Obviously, Man United seeing themselves losing by a goal after 5 minutes. It's not the best of starts for the home fans. Finally, let's go to Real Betis. Let's go to Spain. The game kicks off in about 7 minutes or so. Real Betis against Real Madrid with Mark Thomas. Good afternoon, Mark.
Good afternoon to you, John. It's a beautiful day here in Seville at the Benito Villamarin Stadium. Beautiful blue skies, about 18 degrees. It's going to be a cracker. Real Madrid, Los Blancos against Los Verde Blancos, Real Betis. Some very, very interesting midfield matchups today. Of course, we've got Isco playing his first game against his old team, Real Madrid. He's going to come up against his old teammates, Kroos and Modric there. So that's something to watch out for. That could actually turn the game on its head, depending on who wins that midfield battle. Rundown of a quick rundown of the team changes today. We've got a couple of changes for Real Madrid. The goalkeeper, Lunin, he keeps his place, even though Kepa is actually fit. He's on the bench, of course. Luka Modric, as I mentioned, he comes into midfield. He's going to captain the team today in the absence of Carvajal, who's out injured from last week. And coming in for Carvajal is Lucas Vazquez. The other change is Joselu is out, those are all the changes. For Real Betis, Abner is in for the suspended ex-gunner Victor Bellerin. And as Abdi and Almira start, taking the place of Rodriguez and Diao. Beautiful day here. Should be a cracking game. Whoever wins the midfield battle, I'm going to go out on a limb and say takes this game. But you can smell the scent of the oranges from the nearby farms. And for sure, this game is not going to be a lemon.
Thank you very much, Mark. Yes, indeed. I can smell it all the way here to our London studio. Thank you very much for that. Just quickly, give you the latest updates on the Premier League. Brighton 0, Burnley 0, Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 1, Sheffield United 0, Brentford 0, and Wolverhampton Wanderers 0, Nottingham Forest 0 after 10 minutes gone already. You are listening to Football Live.
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM.
Get involved in NairaBet's goals giveaway and net yourself a free bet. Aston Villa take on league leaders Arsenal, and we are giving away free bets every time a goal is scored. How many goals are we going to see? Ollie Watkins currently has 8 league goals, whereas Saka and Nketiah are on 5. Whether you back the Villains or the Gunners, even if your bet does not win, you will still be eligible for the free bet. All you need to do is log into www.nairabet.com, bet on Aston Villa versus Arsenal, receive your free bet to use on any sports or virtuals. Full details can be found on our promotions page. Must be over 18. Minimum odds of 1.5. Must be a real money bet. Bets must be placed before kickoff. Cashed out bets do not qualify. General and free bet terms and conditions apply. Please gamble responsibly.
The goals, the team news, all the updates, all the key action, scores from around Europe's top leagues, exclusive interviews, breaking news.
4 hours of football every Saturday and Sunday on Brila FM with Football Live.
Football Live returns to Brila FM tomorrow afternoon. The show starts at 3 o'clock and you can follow the fortunes of Chelsea as they head to Goodison Park to take on Everton.
They're brilliant because they're less boring.
Manchester City are also in action. They face a trip to Bedfordshire to take on Luton Town at Kenilworth Road.
But football is like that sometimes.
There's a big match at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's Tottenham Hotspur against Newcastle United.
You love that, you relish that.
And 2 London derbies for you in the Premier League. Fulham against West Ham United, and in the WSL, the girls go face to face. Yes, it's Arsenal against Chelsea. And we'll have all of these matches covered right here on Brila FM tomorrow afternoon on Football Live.
Around the grounds, chasing the goals.
A goal that is going to blow open the title race in the Bundesliga.
Well, this wasn't supposed to happen. It's been an unbelievable day here on Football Live.
4 hours of football every Saturday and Sunday on Brila FM with Football Live.
Let's get back to the action on Football Live. Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with John Kane.
Yes, welcome back. I can give you the latest updates in English Premier League. About 12 minutes gone. It's still as they are before the break. Brighton 0, Burnley 0, Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 1 from Dominic Solanke in the 5th minute. Sheffield United 0, Brentford 0, Wolverhampton Wanderers 0, Nottingham Forest 0. We've got about a couple of minutes for the game in Spain to kick off between Real Betis and Real Madrid. In Serie A, they're playing in the second half is Verona 0, Lazio 1. In the German Bundesliga, they're coming into half time. It's not a good result for Bayern Munich, I could tell you. There's Eintracht Frankfurt 3, Bayern Munich 0. I'd love to know what the odds on that with Andrew Bonacore in a few seconds. Heidenheim 1, Darmstadt 0, Union Berlin 1, Borussia Mönchengladbach 0, Werder Bremen 1, Augsburg 0, and Wolfsburg 0, Freiburg 0. And I can tell you what, we have a goal at Molineux.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Well, Steve Cooper's team, they're really trying their best for their manager. And it's Wolverhampton Wanderers 0, Nottingham Forest 1. So that is a good start for Nottingham Forest, and it's Harry to follow who scored for Forest. It doesn't look like there's any VAR involved, as we are aware anyway. So while we're waiting to hear from our reporter for that game, let's go with Andrew Bonacore with the latest odds, courtesy to NairaBet.
Here's Andrew Bonacore with all the very latest odds from NairaBet.
Thank you, John. Latest odds from NairaBet. Remember, these are all subject to change. Mostly the home teams are fancied, but the one, of course, that switched around is that Man United game. They're currently losing 1-0 at home to Bournemouth. And actually, best odds you can find are on the draw. So obviously, NairaBet fancy Man United will get back in the game. You can get 3.75 if you think that Man United will draw level and that game will end in a draw. Sheffield United, of course, heavily unfancied, but if you think that Chris Wilder can turn things round at Bramall Lane, you can get 4.33 with NairaBet for the Sheffield United win. Wolves are heavily unfancied, if you like. Nottingham Forest, after that goal, they're now 2. You can still get 2.00 on a win for Nottingham Forest if you think that Forest can stay ahead and Steve Cooper can keep his job. In the Spanish game, Real Madrid obviously heavily fancied. They're kicking off very shortly. You can just get 1.70 if you think the Whites will win against Betis. And just a reminder that in the Saudi Pro League, Al Ahly have already kicked off against Al Riyadh, and that is still 0-0, just coming up to 15 minutes gone. But the home team, Al Ahly, heavily fancied, 1.44 for the home team in that game. So heavily fancied, usually in the Premier League, for the home teams to get victories. You can get Brighton at 1.66. But if you think Burnley will get a very, very rare away win, then you can get odds of 5.00 on that one. But that obviously reflects the unlikely nature of that goal. Next time you come to me, John, I'll have those odds for you on the Eintracht Frankfurt shocking game in play against Bayern Munich.
Thank you very much, Andrew Bonacore. Yes, that's all the odds from NairaBet. Of course, they're all subject to change. Now, something has changed at Molineux, Richard Bond, and that is a goal for Steve Cooper's man. A goal away from home. Well, it's early days, Richard, but it's not a bad start, is it?
No, it's a fantastic start here, and it's Wolves 0, Nottingham Forest 1. It's a really good goal for Harry Toffolo. Forest, you know, I fancy them for a bit of reaction, and they certainly have done that in these opening stages. Nico Williams picked the ball up on the left-hand side. He fed through Morgan Gibbs-White, who's been a really good start for him against his old club this afternoon. He's taken quite a lot of boos, but he put in a really terrific cross into the box, and there was Toffolo at the back post just to outbeat Semedo, who's kind of not really got up with his head. He's lost his marker into the back of the net. Eruptions from the Forest fans in the away stand. Wolves behind, Forest ahead. Wolves 0, Nottingham Forest 1. 16 minutes gone.
Is Nottingham Forest justified that goal? it's always playing away is very hard, especially in a Midland derby or in any derby as such. But are they showing that they can actually maintain that lead or even score more goals from what you've seen so far?
The game has been very niggly so far. Before that, we haven't had many sort of sights at goal. There's been a lot of fouls. It's been a bit nervy. But Forest have actually been the better of the two sides. Like I say, with Gibbs White on the ball, he looks like he's got a little bit of quality. But it's all about that steal and protection in the midfield of their defence. After such a bash, it was timid in midweek against Fulham. They need to have that really good bit of steel in their performance this afternoon. They've started off okay and they found their way into the game, and now they've got the goal. It's just, can they hold on to it? You know, it's a long way to go there. I would think they're going to be a little bit cautious and try and see if they can get something on the counter-attack. But at the moment, though, Wolves 0, Nottingham Forest 1, 17 minutes gone.
Thank you very much, Richard Bond. Just a reminder of the latest half-time results in the German Bundesliga. I can tell you that Bayern Munich has pulled the one back, so they're losing now by 3-1. Joshua Kimmich has scored for Bayern Munich. In fact, it's just gone into half-time. Half-time as well in Heidenheim. They're leading Darmstadt by 1-0. They're still playing in Union Berlin. They're leading Borussia Mönchengladbach by 1-0. It's coming to the fourth minute, in fact, of injury time there. Werder Bremen, they're leading Augsburg at half-time by 1-0, and it's still 0-0 between Wolfsburg and Freiburg. Now, the one team that already conceded a goal after 5 minutes, that is Manchester United, Jackson Cole. I'm looking at the stats. They've already got 3 corners, 6 shots, 1 on target. Bournemouth had 2 shots, 2 on target, and 73 possession for Man United. You can't really doubt their efforts, the home side, haven't they, so far?
Yeah, John, and they have responded pretty well, Manchester United. As you've said by the stats, they are dominating possession. That one shot on target was from Harry Maguire, actually. It was a looping header from distance, which was tipped over the bar by Neto. I think he made quite a lot of that save, Neto. He didn't really have to. He could have caught it if he really wanted to, but he was just making sure, I think. And Bournemouth, they're very content to play on the counter-attack. After their goal, Marcus Tavernier, a very industrious run from him down the left, was in the end quite easily saved by Andre Onana. But the way he was allowed to just glide past the Manchester United midfielders will be a concern for Erik ten Hag's side. So the game has very much settled down, and I would not be surprised if it was just like this for the remainder, with Man United dominating possession and Bournemouth just sitting back and then looking to hit them on the counter-attack. Right now, it's Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 1.
Thank you very much, Jackson. Obviously, there was an early kickoff in the English Premier League before the show started, and it was between Crystal Palace and Liverpool. Palace took the lead with Matata from the penalty spot in the 57th minute. They had a penalty in the first half as well, but that has been overruled. Then Jordan Ayew got a second yellow card and he got sent off 75 minutes into the game, which left the door open for Liverpool. Mo Salah equalised a minute, in fact, after that sending off, and then a minute into injury time, Harvey Elliott scored for Liverpool, and the game finished 1-2 for Liverpool in that game. Where does that put them in the league? Well, it puts them top of the league with 37 points. Second are Arsenal with 36 points. Of course, Arsenal, they're playing away to Aston Villa later on this afternoon, which will be with you with Billy Andrews on that game, who are third, Aston Villa, with 32 points. But Arsenal, if they can get a good win, just a 3 points today, they will take them above Liverpool. People wondering probably, where is Manchester City? Manchester City are fourth in the league, 30 points, 7 points adrift off Liverpool now. Of course, they are playing tomorrow, but the way Manchester City are playing, it's a bit of self-concern. And Rodri, who's probably one of the best midfielders in the world, and him missing some of the games seems to have affected that team. Holding midfielder, remarkable player, absolutely remarkable player, but obviously Manchester City are missing that link in there, because every time he doesn't play, Manchester City is not winning, and that seems the story. But you can't rule them out, even when they're 7 points behind. You could not rule them out from the league with the depth that they have. Every possession they've got like 2 world-class players, and you just all these clubs above them, Liverpool, Arsenal and Villa, always wary of probably Manchester City more of anyone else. Let's go to Matt Tamprol. Brighton against Burnley. It's still 0-0, Matt. Burnley are the favourites for this game, but are we seeing any signs that they are actually the favourites to win against a team who second from bottom as it stands?
Well, to be honest with you, John, it's been a bit flat the first 15 or so minutes. We're just approaching 20 minutes and there's a few more shots, speculative shots on target by both teams. But to be honest, Burnley have had most of the ball in this game. It's one of those rare occasions where Brighton actually look very flat in their build-up play, and Burnley look actually quite organised and well put together defensively, which hasn't been the case all season, that's for sure. So at the moment, both teams really struggling to create any chances. But look, Brighton have both scored and conceded in every Premier League game so far this season, so there's bound to be goals in this game. But at the moment, we've just passed 20 minutes and it's 0-0 at the Amex.
Thank you very much, Matt Emperor. I can tell you, it seems like Bournemouth have scored, but it's been ruled for offside. So still United 0, Bournemouth 1. I can tell you, betting is suspended. So we'll be going back to Jackson Cole very shortly on news of what exactly happened in that game. But I think next, let's go for our Saudi Roundup Premier League, the Saudi Pro League, in fact, with Andrew Bonacore.
League on Football Live. Yes, well, yesterday a Ronaldo goal and 2 for Brazilian Anderson Talisca saw Al Nassr beat Al Riyadh 4-1. Al Khalij beat Abha 3-1. Al Tawoun beat Al Fahya 4-1. And a goal from former Fulham favourite Alexander Mitrovic gave league leaders Al Hilal a 2-1 win against Al Tai. In the league, Al Hilal still stay 7 points clear of Ronaldo's Al Nassr at the top of the Saudi Pro League, while Al Tawoun's win sees them jump into third. However, Al Ahly can retake third position with a win today. Another notable game in this round, the other games were played on Thursday. There was a very bad-tempered game between Al Shabab and Al Ettifaq. 3 red cards in that game, but no goals. Ex-Everton and Leicester star Damari Gray was one of those, given his marching orders. So currently, the standings in the Saudi Pro League, we have Al Hilal 7 points clear at the top of the league. Al Nassr in second on 37 points. Then in third place, Al Tawoun. Al Ahly are in fourth, but as I said, they can leap up into third if they win today. And finally, fifth, the star-studded Al Ittihad. So a couple of games in the Pro League today. Al Ahly are currently 0-0 after 25 minutes with Al Riyadh. And Al Wehda versus Al Akhdud. That kicks off in about 2.5 hours' time.
Thank you very much, Andrew. We'll come back to you later on for more bettings as well as we go along throughout the show. Let's go to Jackson Cole. He has seen a goal at Old Trafford, but he was ruled out.
Yeah, still Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 1. Bournemouth did have the ball in the net for a second time. It was Marcus Tavernier who put the ball in the net. However, it came after Andre Onana saved a header by Dominic Solanke, but Solanke did not quite time his run correctly as a cross-in from the left, but Solanke was just offside, so absolutely the correct decision, but it will be worrying for Manchester United. While they're dominating possession, you could argue really that Bournemouth are looking more threatening going forward. Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 1.
Thank you very much, Jackson Cole. We played about 10 minutes of Real Betis against Real Madrid. Of course, Real Madrid are top of the league. Betis are 7th. And Real Madrid, obviously, they're fighting off in the top between the usual Barcelona and, of course, Girona as well, who they're having the time of their life so far this season. So, and we got Mark Thomas, who's actually at the game. Mark, a penalty shot for Real Madrid, but it was not given.
No, it wasn't given. We've got a cracking game going on here, John. Both teams, they seem well up for it this afternoon. We've had about 4 or 5 interesting chances already. A penalty shout, as you just mentioned. Rodrigo is causing problems all over the place to Rubal, the right back for Real Betis. He's in for a very long afternoon, the way things are going. He's put in a cross. Modric steamed through the middle, got his head to it, but his header went a couple of yards wide. On the other side, Real Betis, they've been playing well. Ayozo Perez heavily involved, cutting in from the right-hand side. They've had a shot on goal from Roca after about 3 minutes. It's going to be a great game. It's still 0-0 right now here, but we expect goals very, very soon. After 12 minutes here, John, it is Real Betis 0, Real Madrid 0.
After about 15 rounds, Mark, and Real Madrid are joint top with Girona. Probably people would have expected to be joint top with Barcelona, but Girona so far, they've been absolutely brilliant, haven't they?
I know they have. It's the shock of the season that nobody saw coming. But they're playing great football. And, every week you sort of expect them to slip down and Madrid to steam away with it. But it's not happening. They're hanging in there. They're playing very consistent football, which, of course, is paramount. And that's what's keeping them, technically joint first. They're only behind on a couple of goals difference. But, they have been the surprise of the season.
Thank you very much, Mark Thomas. We'll go back to Mark very, very shortly for more updates on that game between Real Betis and Real Madrid. I can tell you that Verona had leveled up against Lazio with 20 minutes to go. It's Verona 1, Lazio 1, but it seems like VAR are playing up in there, so we'll give you the final outcome of that. Next, let's go to Molineux with Richard Barney. Seems to be the chance for Wolverhampton Wanderers, and probably time to wake up a bit as well, haven't they?
Yeah, first chance of the afternoon for Wolves, and it's taken about 27 minutes to happen. It's been quite a slow game, this one, but they have been the better team since the Forest goals, trying to show a bit of reaction, but with not much end product. The chance came, really, it was Totti who broke free on the left-hand side. He was kind of pushing up from the back, and he's put a really nice ball into the back post of the Nottingham Forest area. The defender Murillo's got up there, but it's just hit him on the top of the head. He hasn't really got a clearance away that it's just gone to the back post. In has come Hwang. It's the first time he's had a sighted goal. Really tight angle, but he's headed wide. He should have done better. He should have really hit the target, but it was a difficult chance. As we remain, it's Wolves 0 though, Nottingham Forest 1 with 29 minutes on the clock.
Thank you very much, Richard. Next, let's go to, we haven't heard from Jamie McKeek for a while. Sheffield United against Brentford. And Sheffield United with Chris Wilder, are they causing any troubles for Brentford in the first, half an hour gone already?
I wouldn't say they're causing any troubles. It's been quite a slow start here at Bramall Lane. Each team has had a free kick in a crossable area, but each cross has been cleared very comfortably. Both teams have had their share of possession. Brentford have been a little bit more dominant, well, I would say more so dominant, especially within the last 15 minutes. And from what I've noticed is that when each side have the ball, the other side seem to drop off and stay quite compact and defensive. Brentford, to be fair to them, have built out from the back really nicely. They broke through the lines in midfield really well and looked to stretch the pitch and Sheffield United backline and play through the wings. But when Brentford do get it inside the Sheffield United final third, and they're very good at getting it inside the final third, but when they have it inside the final third, their quality fades away and their final ball has been quite poor. Janold had a half chance there. It was a quick one-touch pass by Brentford. They managed to work it inside of the box, but Janold's square ball across the box is blocked by Ahmed Ordzic. Austin Trusty for Sheffield United has picked up a yellow card. It's not been a bad start from either team, I would say at the minute. Brentford are the side on top, but neither team really has a cutting edge so far and has had a clear-cut opportunity. We've just entered the 20th minute here at Bramall Lane, and the score remains Sheffield United 0, Brentford 0.
I can tell you that Verona goal has been given, and also, as we speak, Lazio scored a second. So not even 3 minutes in between the goals. Verona equalised in the 70th minutes with Thomas Hendry, and Lazio have just taken the lead again. So probably more goals to come. That again gone to VAR. We'll get more confirmation very, very shortly. I can tell you we can get confirmation from Jackson Cole that Bournemouth are having a great chance, haven't they?
They certainly have, John, and it fell to their defender, Ilya Zabarnyi. It was a corner swung in from the right by Marcus Tavernier, and Zabarnyi got his head on the ball, but it deflected just wide of goal. Man United looking very nervous. It's Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 1.
And we got a second goal on Molineux.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
It's Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Nottingham Forest 1, and Matheus Cunha, the Brazilian, the ex-Atletico Madrid player, has taken the... they levelled with Nottingham Forest. It's Nottingham Forest 1, Wolverhampton... In fact, I'll repeat myself. Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Nottingham Forest 1. There's also been a goal in Spain.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
It's Real Betis 1, Real Betis 0, Real Madrid 1. We'll be going to Mark Thomas very, very shortly. Here's VAR on that goal. As we speak, it's VAR for the Wolves goal as well. So, in fact, I can tell you the Wolves goal has been given. So we'll be going to Richard Bond very, very shortly on more news of that goal. So let's go to Matt Temporal because Brighton had a chance to take the lead in that game.
Yes, that's right. It looks like the first sort of glimpse we've seen of Brighton getting back to the Brighton that we've all come to recognise this season. And it was Pascal Gross with the chance. Adingra had the ball on the edge of the box. He slid in Pascal Gross with a great through ball. He had the decision to make. Does he go for goal or does he square it across goal? He went for a shot at the near post and the goalkeeper tipped it outside of his left-hand post for a corner. Brighton just starting to turn the screw a little bit here. We're starting to see some of the defensive frailties that we've become used to from Burnley. At the moment, though, we're just past the half-hour mark. It's Brighton and Hove Albion 0, Burnley 0.
I can tell you the Real Madrid goal has been disallowed, as well as Lazio's second goal also been disallowed. The one goal that hasn't been disallowed is Wolverhampton Wanderers, Richard Bond.
Oh, and what a goal it was. Wolves have been right back in this game, but they've equalised at the moment now. It's Wolves 1, Nottingham Forest 1 with 33 minutes on the clock. Lovely football, and you can't say it's not deserved, really. Lovely way to pass from Lamina. Finds Sarabia on the left-hand side. Plays a reverse pass, really, as such, into Cunha, just on the edge of the box. He's done a first-time finish. Smashing it into the back of the net from just outside the area. Really good move. Devastating finish. That's what this game needed. Game on here now. We're going to get more goals, I think, today. It's Wolves 1, Nottingham Forest 1, 34 minutes gone.
Thank you very much, Richard Bond. Yeah, just a quick update on the 4 games that are happening in English Premier League. As you just heard from Richard, it's Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Forest 1, Sheffield United 0, Brentford 0, Brighton 0, Burnley 0, and of course, Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 1. You are listening to Football Live.
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM.
Get involved in NairaBet's goals giveaway and net yourself a free bet. Aston Villa take on league leaders Arsenal, and we are giving away free bets every time a goal is scored. How many goals are we going to see? Ollie Watkins currently has 8 league goals, whereas Saka and Nketiah are on 5. Whether you back the Villains or the Gunners, even if your bet does not win, you will still be eligible for the free bet. All you need to do is log into www.nairabet.com, bet on Aston Villa versus Arsenal, receive your free bet to use on any sports or virtuals. Full details can be found on our promotions page. Must be over 18. Minimum odds of 1.5. Must be a real money bet. Bets must be placed before kickoff. Cashed out bets do not qualify. General and free bet terms and conditions apply. Please gamble responsibly.
The goals, the team news, all the updates, all the key action, scores from around Europe's top leagues, exclusive interviews, breaking news.
4 hours of football every Saturday and Sunday on Brila FM with Football Live.
Football Live returns to Brila FM tomorrow afternoon. The show starts at 3 o'clock and you can follow the fortunes of Chelsea as they head to Goodison Park to take on Everton.
They're brilliant because they're less boring.
Manchester City are also in action. They face a trip to Bedfordshire to take on Luton Town at Kenilworth Road.
So, but football is like that sometimes.
There's a big match at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's Tottenham Hotspur against Newcastle United.
You love that, you relish that.
And 2 London derbies for you in the Premier League. Fulham against West Ham United, and in the WSL, the girls go face to face. Yes, it's Arsenal against Chelsea. And we'll have all of these matches covered right here on Brila FM tomorrow afternoon on Football Live.
Around the grounds, chasing the goals.
a goal that is going to blow open the title race in the Bundesliga.
Well, this wasn't supposed to happen. It's been an unbelievable day here on Football Live.
4 hours of football every Saturday and Sunday on Brille FM with Football Live.
Let's get back to the action on Football Live. Powered by NairoBet. This is Football Live with John Kane.
I can tell you after 80 minutes gone in Serie A, Verona won, Lazio won. Now Verona played with 10 men after Duda received his second yellow card of the game. So that doesn't look good for Verona, but at least Lazio's goal's been disallowed. Well, the second one anyway. So Verona now probably aiming just for that 1 point at home to the capital team of Lazio. Also, who escaped the red card, Jamie McKeag, was the Algerian Onyeka. Let us know what happened.
Oh, John, it is a bad, clumsy challenge from Onyeka, and I could have easily had it as a red card, and we've seen them given all season. It's a quick pass into Vinny Sosa, the Sheffield United midfielder in midfield. Onyeka is trying to lunge in and intercept the ball, but he misses the ball and ends up coming down and catching Sousa's ankle quite badly, and Sousa actually had to go off the field temporarily and receive some treatment. It is a stamping motion, and he doesn't get any of the ball. And like I said, we've seen them given, and it easily could have been given, and I don't think many people could have really disputed it. But VAR and the referee Stuart Atwell has said no and stuck with the initial on-field decision, which was a yellow. The game is getting a little bit more heated now. We've just entered the 37th minute here at Bramall Lane. It still remains Sheffield United 0, Brentford 0.
I can tell you that we just kicked off in the second half in the German Bundesliga, and it's not getting any better for Bayern Munich. Now it's Eintracht Frankfurt 4, Bayern Munich 1. Well, I don't know what's happening there, but I'm sure Bayern Munich got a big job to do. And they've been playing very well. They have Harry Kane, of course, in the lineup, and they're playing very well. But I think every club does go through a period of time when sort of they go through a bad patch, shall we say. That's probably the best way to describe it. They go through a bad patch. I can also tell you that Union Berlin has just scored a second against Borussia Mönchengladbach. It's still 0-0 in Spain between Real Betis and Real Madrid, Mark Thomas. But Real Madrid did score early on, but it was disallowed.
Yeah, it was disallowed for offside. Rodrigo is giving them all sorts of chaos down the left-hand side. He's combining very well with Mendy and causing all sorts of problems. He's cutting across into the byline on a regular basis, and this time around he ran across the byline just into the 6-yard box, teed the ball back, and Bahrain was there just to tap it in from about 5 yards out. But he was judged to be offside by about a foot. It's a great game, for everything that's been said about Real Madrid. Real Betis, they're having their time too. Roca and Perez are teaming up very well on the right-hand side, and they're trying to get Jose, their top scorer, into action in behind the Real Madrid defense. But so far, no luck there. Interesting battle in midfield, of course, between Modric and Isco. They're tussling and battling it out with full force. After 25 minutes, John, it's still Real Betis 0, Real Madrid 0.
I can tell you the Man United stats are quite staggering. They had 7 shots, 2 on target. Bournemouth has 6 shots with 2 on target. And of course, they scored that goal from Dominic Solanke in the 5th minute. Possession-wise, Man United are 74%. Bournemouth only 26%, Jackson Cole. With that, even with 26%, they managed to find time to have 6 shots with 2 on target. And of course, the goal.
Yeah, absolutely, John. And just seconds ago, they came mightily close to going 2-0 up. Again, it was Dominic Solanke who scored that early goal. He found himself almost unmarked on the edge of the box. He took the shot and it came back off the post. It was more bad defending by Manchester United. They gave the ball away far too cheaply there. I mean, from a Manchester United perspective, the only real positive is Alejandro Garnacho. He's definitely got the beating of Bournemouth fullback Adam Smith, and I think maybe Erik ten Hag should be looking to exploit that a little bit more, maybe bring on Rasmus Højlund, because Anthony Martial, I've really not seen anything from him this afternoon. So Bournemouth, they're looking the more threatening, which I would not be expecting to say before this game started. It's Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 1
I mean, you were surprised, Jackson, were you, when actually Anthony Martial was starting this game? Again, I go back to Rasmus Højlund. I mean, he should be the man who should be trying to break the deadlock. And is that a bit of sort of mismanagement from Ten Hag?
Well, they spent all this money on Rasmus Højlund, over £70 million, so you'd think they'd want to get use out of their really heavy investment. So I really don't understand what Erik Ten Hag is doing here with regards to not playing Højlund, because although he's still waiting for that first Premier League goal, he has looked very, very good in the Champions League. And, well, Manchester United, they have been let down by their defence in Europe. They've scored plenty of goals as it is, but yeah, I would not be surprised one bit if Erik Ten Hag makes that change at half-time.
Thank you very much, Jackson. As we mentioned earlier, 53 minutes gone in the German Bundesliga. It's a result that we can't stay away from, can we? We did say it's Eintracht Frankfurt 4, Bayern Munich 1. Now, the odds on that are quite good as well. If you're a Bayern Munich fan, or do you think they'll make a comeback? For a draw in that game is 9.0, and Bayern Munich to turn it around, they're 13.0. With Nairabet, of course, all subject to change. We'll be going to Andrew Banacori very shortly on the latest odds on all the games that is happening in the Premier League and the other games that actually is taking place. I can tell you in the Saudi Pro League, we're literally 3 minutes away from half-time. Ahli Jeddah are still 0-0 with Al Raid. I think quite a lot we're expecting from Ahli Jeddah this season. They are in the top half, and they are one of the big top 5 clubs in Saudi Arabia. Believe it or not, they got relegated 2 seasons ago for the first time in their history, as they come back this season after finishing top, of course, of the first division, and they are doing very well, but I think probably the expectations were quite high. I can tell you there's been a goal in the English Premier League.
The goals, powered by Nairabet.
30 seconds to go till half-time, and it's Brighton 0, Burnley 1. Burnley are having a great form this week. Matt Temporal is watching that game. We'll be going to Matt very, very shortly, but I can tell you it's Brighton 1, Burnley 0. Who scored for Burnley is Wilson Adobert. I beg your pardon, is Wilson Adobert, who scored literally on a stroke at half-time. So now we goals. With 3 games in the Premier League, we're only just missing the Sheffield United against Brentford. But while we're waiting for Matt, let's go to Richard Bond. We're coming to half-time, Richard. It's still 1-0 there between Wolves and Forest. It seems like Forest are more or less taking control of that game now.
Well, Wolves have been a better side since scoring their equaliser, and they've had about 70-odd possession since the goal, and it's all due to really Paulo Sarabia, who's been on the ball, really nice little move, surging down that right-hand side. He played that lovely little cross pass to Hugo Bueno. His effort, he delayed on it, tried to get it away, and he's just kind of like tried to plant it just wide the post. It's just deflected off a defender. But Wolves pushing hard before half-time. Steve Cooper pacing. We're level at the moment, but I think he just about should get into the break. Wolves 1, Nottingham Forest 1.
I could tell you 6 minutes of added time at the game at Wolves. Sheffield United, Brentford, 3 minutes of injury time there. Manchester United, there's 4 minutes of injury time, but the goal was scored at Brighton against Burnley. It's got 2 minutes, and already in the first minute of injury time, Matt Temporal, let us know what happened there.
Well, I can't quite believe what's happened here. Burnley were just praying for half-time, to be honest, because they were under the cosh against Brighton, but Wilson Odobert has produced a fantastic strike to give Burnley a surprise lead here at the Amex. It was a counter-attack. Jay Rodriguez played Odobert in on the left-hand side. He cut inside, hit a shot from the edge of the box. I think it's taken a bit of a deflection, well, a huge deflection if it is a deflection, and it's looped over the goalkeeper into the goalkeeper's top right-hand corner. What a surprise we've got here at the Amex. We're very close to half-time. We're in injury time. It's Brighton and Hove Albion 0, Burnley 1.
And I can tell you, we got a goal at Bramall Lane.
The goals, powered by Nairabet.
It's Sheffield United 1, Brentford 0, and it's James McAtee in the first minute of injury time who scored for Chris Wilder's men, and we'll be going to Jamie McKeek very, very shortly to give us more about that goal. But I can tell you it's James McAtee who scored for Sheffield United. It's half time at Brighton. It's Brighton 0, Burnley 1. They're still playing at Manchester United. It's Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 1. We'll be going to Jamie McKeek for that goal for Sheffield United against Brentford, and it's still Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Nottingham Forest 1. In the German Bundesliga, it's still Eintracht Frankfurt 4, Bayern Munich 1, Heidenheim 1, Darmstadt 2, Union Berlin 2, Borussia Mönchengladbach 0, and Werder Bremen 1, Augsburg 0, and it's still 0-0 between Wolfsburg and Freiburg. It's also still 0-0 between Real Betis and Real Madrid, and we're coming into injury time at Serie A between Verona and Lazio. Of course, Verona are playing with 10 men, and it's still 1-1 there. And we'll give you any latest updates on them games. Is also, I can tell you, it's 0-0 still. It's 5 minutes of injury time in the Saudi Pro League between Ahli Jeddah and Al Riyadh. But I tell you what, let's go to Bramall Lane and hear the news of that goal with Jamie McKee.
Oh, John, what a goal from James McAtee. It actually starts from a Brentford free kick, and it's cleared by Anel Amrozic, and it's a fantastic counter-attack from Chris Wilder's side. Cameron Archer picks up the ball in midfield from the clearance, turns his man brilliantly, and then drives towards the Brentford penalty area. Brentford do well to clear the ball, but the Brentford clearance is blocked by their own man. It falls out to James McAtee on the edge of the box. He turns it back into his left foot and curls it into the top left-hand corner. An absolutely fantastic goal. Flecken in goal for Brentford has absolutely no chance. What a screamer and what a moment for Sheffield United. 46 minutes going here, just 2 minutes left in the first half, and it is now Sheffield United 1, Brentford 0.
Well, it's half-time already at the game at the Amex Stadium. Brighton 0, Burnley 1, and here's Matt Temporal for the half-time report.
Yeah, well, there seems to be a surprise on the card so far here at the Amex Stadium. It's Brighton 0, Burnley 1, and it was a game which was very slow in the early moments, very, very laboured, a bit flat to be honest, but then it started livening up with some attacking play from Brighton, a few good chances, particularly for Pascal Gross, who had a shot saved by the goalkeeper, and Van Hecke, who had a header just wide of the post. And then, just before half-time, surprise, surprise, Jay Rodriguez plays in one of the changes for today, Wilson Odobert. He comes in for the injured Koleosho for Burnley, and he cut inside, hit a wicked shot, which did take a huge deflection and looped over for Bruggen in the Brighton goal into his top right-hand corner just before half-time. It's be interesting now to see how Brighton recover from this. They have scored in every Premier League game so far this season, so there's bound to be goals in the second half. At half-time, it's Brighton 0, Burnley 1.
Thank you very much, Matt. It's half-time at Sheffield United 1, Brentford 0. It's half-time at Old Trafford. It's Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 1. They're still playing at Molineux. It's Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Nottingham Forest 0. I can tell you, Eintracht Frankfurt, I can't stop scoring. They're 5-1 up now with half an hour to go. Remarkable result for Eintracht Frankfurt. Absolute remarkable result so far. However, they are reviewing the fifth goal. I can tell you that the goals, we haven't touched base with the players who scored for Eintracht Frankfurt today. Is Omar Marmoush, who scored in the 12th minute. Eric Abemba scored twice in the 31st and the 50th minute, and Hugo Larsson scored in the 36th minute. And that goal, the fifth goal, does stand. I will give you the goal scorer as soon as I get that information. But first, let's go to Old Trafford. Half time at Manchester United. Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 1, with Jackson Cole with a half-time report.
Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 1. The Cherries are 45 minutes away from their first ever win at Old Trafford. A shock scoreline, but Andoni Iraola's men have been the better of the two teams, with former Liverpool and Chelsea striker Dominic Solanke scoring in the 5th minute. A clever back heel past Andre Onana as he connected with Lewis Cook's cross after Bruno Fernandes and Scott McTominay gave the ball away. Harry Maguire forced Neto into a save on 8 minutes, but in terms of attempts on goal, that for Man United, that's been about it. The Cherries have had a couple of good chances to double their advantage, with Ilya Zabarnyi heading just wide, while Solanke hit the post with a shot just a few minutes ago. Meanwhile, they had a goal disallowed for offside. Man United are staring down the barrel of a 7th defeat in the Premier League this season. Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 1.
Also, half-time is at Bramall Lane. Sheffield United 1, Brentford 0. And it's half-time report from Jamie McKee.
Thank you very much, John. And that goal from James McAtee has totally flipped my half-time report. Before the screener from James McAtee, the best chance of the entire half came from William Masula for Sheffield United, and that was a shot from outside the area that brushed past the side net. And apart from that, though, both sides were very lacklustre inside the final third and in front of goal. The odd speculative effort from long range that didn't test the keeper is what we were subjected to in the first 45 minutes. Brentford have been in tops in terms of directness and possession, but what's the point in having possession if you don't do anything with it? And that's been the case for Thomas Frank's side so far. They're massively missing Brian Mbeumo and his goals this season, and they don't really have anyone else in the team to turn to in terms of goals. Maybe Thomas Frank will turn to 19-year-old Nigerian winger Michael Oyekigbe, but one thing's for sure, Brentford have to be far more clinical in the second half, and Sheffield United just have to keep doing what they're doing because they have defended really well and nullified Brentford's chances. It's a little bit like last week when I covered Bayer Leverkusen versus Dortmund. Brentford have been very good in the wide areas like Bayer Leverkusen were, but Sheffield United were so compact and full to pell in the area that every time Brentford wanted to create a chance, they just couldn't because there was too many opposition bodies in the way, and that's been the case. Chris Wilder will be delighted, but Thomas Frank will be very frustrated.
Thank you very much, Jamie. And finally, let's go to Molineux. Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Nottingham Forest 1, as Richard Bond with a half-time report.
Yeah, it's Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Nottingham Forest 1, as we go equal into the break, all level. Forest took the lead early in the first half, particularly against the run play. Harry Toffolo giving the visitors a surprise lead heading in at the back post. Hasn't been a great deal of action, but Wolves have been the better side since the goal and equalised deservedly with one moment of quality with a sweeping move, seeing Matheus Cunha finish home. Just on half-time, though, we had a brilliant opportunity now for Chet Kouyaté, and Jose Sarr has saved Wolves really from going behind at the break. Kilman was caught in possession just on the edge of the box. Chet Kouyaté, he's just taken a touch after there, and he shot just trying to find the corner, but Jose Sarr just managed to get a hand down, tip around the post. Manager Steve Cooper, massive game for his potential future, and Nottingham Forest this season. He's absolutely distraught. Going into the break, they should be ahead, but Wolves been the better side. See what the second half brings. At the moment, though, Wolves 1, Nottingham Forest 1, half-time.
So let's give you the half-time scores in English Premier League. Brighton 0, Burnley 1, Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 1, Sheffield United 1, Brentford 0, and Nottingham Forest 1. In fact, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Nottingham Forest now 1. And now we hand you over to FJ and a team in Nigeria to give you all the news of the Nigerian players around the globe and go through your comments and interactions on the social media. And I'll be back here very, very shortly. Good afternoon, FJ. Just before I'll hand back over to you, I've got a question for you, a bit of a trivia, a tricky one, if I may. Diego Armando Maradona is my favourite player, I have to say that. He played for one English team for one game. Which team was it? Diego Armando Maradona played for one English team for one game. Which team was it? Or for you, FJ?
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with John Kane.
Thank you very much, FJ, and welcome back everyone here at Football Live. I can tell you why, FJ. The reason why I support Tottenham is not because of Maradona, even now that helps, but because I lived in Tottenham. In fact, I lived in an area between Tottenham, between White Hart Lane and Highbury, and it was a matter of half a mile that I ended up supporting Tottenham. And I tell you what I missed out on so many trophies because of that half mile of calculation. Anyway, let's go back to the action. I can tell you all the games in the Premier League has kicked off. Brighton 0, Burnley 1, Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 1, Sheffield United 1, Brentford 0, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Nottingham Forest 1. I can tell you it's 10 minutes to go in the German Bundesliga. Eintracht Frankfurt are still leading Bayern Munich by 5 goals to 1. I've asked one of the producers today, Andrew Bonacore, on Bayern's worst defeat, and he gave it to me, and it is 9-2 against Stuttgart Kickers. I don't know what year that was, but I'm sure very thankful for Andrew. So they're way away from conceding the worst ever defeat, but nevertheless, it is a big defeat. I can tell you, in the Spanish La Liga, it's half-time there. Real Betis 0, Real Madrid 0, and here's Mark Thomas with the half-time report.
Hi, John. Yes, chances at both ends for both teams in the first half. Real Madrid came closest to scoring, of course, with that disallowed goal for offside after a lovely run from a pass by Bellingham through to Rodrigo down the line, and he just put it in the box. And, of course, Bahrain offside there. Modric has had two long shots, both saved nicely by the goalkeeper. One, the more dangerous of the other, just down to the left-hand post, just on the floor. Very difficult save to make, but he dealt with it very well. He's also had a header where he came streaming through in the first 10 minutes of the game, and with the goal beckoning, he put the ball a couple of feet wide. Perez has come into the game, Jose. They're starting to show some form. They've come closest to scoring for Real Betis. Perez, first of all, had a chance after a 1-2 with Jose. Went into the box, had a good shot on goal. Goalkeeper, after a deflection, managed to save it, hold on to it. But just after that came probably the chance that they should have scored from. Jose, from just outside the middle of the penalty area, a whistling shot that just went a few inches wide of the post. Real Betis, they're coming into the game. Real Madrid at times, I've got to be honest, looked a little bit fatigued. Although they've had 66% of the possession, 7 shots on goal for each team. I'll tell you, John, it's a very entertaining game here. It's a wonderful game of football. You don't know which way it's going to go. And given the history of the 0-0 draws and ties that these two teams have had in the past, it could very well end up that way. We just don't know. Right now, there's a very interesting thing going on at halftime here with the holidays, of course. All the fans, usually we frown on fans throwing anything onto the field, of course. But right here at halftime, they have a wonderful tradition. Fans are allowed to bring cuddly toys, as long as they're about, 20 inches or smaller. They throw them onto the field at halftime, and the whole field is awash with cuddly toys now. I mean, Bruce Forsyth would be going crazy at this moment in time. Cuddly toys flying out, all going to be given to local charities, and it's a beautiful thing to watch. We've got a great game going on here. It could go either way, but it's still at halftime. It's Real Betis 0, Real Madrid 0.
I can tell you, in the Saudi Pro League, it kicked off in the second half. It's Ahli Jeddah still 0-0 against Al Raed. It's not the result they were looking for. I can tell you also in French League 12 minutes played is Rennes 0, Monaco 0. We'll keep you up to date with the scorelines. Now, just before we go around the grounds, let's go to Andrew Bonacore for the latest odds courtesy of NairaBet.
Here's Andrew Bonacore with all the very latest odds from NairaBet.
Thank you, John. All odds, as you say, courtesy of NairaBet, and therefore subject to change. First of all, in the Premier League, it's Brighton are 1-1 at the moment, but if you fancy Brighton to win, they are currently 3.1, and as we've heard a few times, they do score at least 1 goal per game. So if you think that Brighton will turn that round and come from 1-0 down against Burnley to win, they are 3.10. Manchester United are 3.29 to win in their game, and the draw, which is the current score at the moment, of course, is 3.30. So good value on both of those. Bearing in mind Man United's penchant for late goals at home, especially Man United to win that game would be 3.29. Wolves and Forest are currently 1-1, and if you think that will stay that way, then you can get 2.25 for that on NairaBet. Over to Spain, Real Madrid are 1.85 to win, currently 0-0, and as we've heard from Mark, Rodrigo is causing chaos. Looking ahead to some of the later games, Atalanta are 2.25 to beat Milan, Dortmund 2.80 to beat RB Leipzig, with themselves are 2.38 to win, and the Gunners, well, they're 2.05 to beat Villa, but Villa, who beat City earlier on in the week, who are playing at home, are 3.40 to win. Now for tomorrow, how about this? Luton, 17.00 to beat Man City. Stranger things have happened. All odds courtesy of NairaBet, and all odds subject to change.
Thank you very much, Andrew. I do love them odds for Luton, Andrew. Would you put any money on them now?
You know what? I would. That's the kind of bet that I often go for. Something outrageous, but it's possible. But yeah, it's a long shot, but that's reflected in the odds. Yeah, a couple of quid on Luton at 17. Yeah, that would turn me into a Luton fan for the day for sure.
I'm sure it will. Thank you very much, Andrew. Now let's go around the ground. We'll start nothing better than Old Trafford with Jackson Cole. It's still Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 1 after 53 minutes. Has been any changes at half-time, Jackson, and Man United stepping up a bit from what they did in the first half?
Well, Manchester United, they have stepped up, but surprisingly no changes made by either Erik ten Hag or Andoni Iraola. So I was expecting Rasmus Højlund to make an appearance by now, but we will have to wait a little bit. Not been too many opportunities, although there was a heroic double block by Milos Kerkez to deny both Scott McTominay and Bruno Fernandes. Perhaps the Bournemouth goalkeeper Neto would have saved it anyway, but full marks to the Bournemouth defender for putting his body on the line. And well, Manchester United, it's just when you think they're starting to turn a corner in the league, they're slipping back into their old habits. In fact, they were booed off at half-time because it was an absolutely poor showing in the first half from them. So they've got to improve a lot more against a very well-drilled Bournemouth side this afternoon. But right now, it is still Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 1.
If we look at the bench, Jackson, surely there are quite a few players who can come in and change the game, can they? You would think probably around now or maybe in the next 5 minutes that you need to do them changes to get something out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. As I mentioned, they've got Højlund on the bench, Marcus Rashford. Okay, he's not had a very good season, but we're coming towards the territory where it's going to become a bit desperate for Manchester United. So I think Ten Hag might have to throw both of them on. And of course, we have to remember Raphael Varane. He is fit to play. He is on the bench. A guy who's won 4 Champions League is not playing. And actually, just as I talk about Højlund, I do see him getting stripped off and ready to go. So we will be seeing the Danish striker very, very shortly indeed.
Thank you very much, Jackson Cole. Yes, about 35 minutes ago, it's Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 1. That goal came from Dominic Solanke for Bournemouth. And funny enough, listening to FJ and one of the callers, and Dominic Solanke could have played for Nigeria, but apparently, which of what I've heard from FJ and the caller, that he actually refused to do so. And I think he's missing out on a good team. And can you imagine Dominic Solanke playing alongside Victor Osimhen in kind of nice rotating way? Even Osimhen can play a bit further up and Solanke can play just behind him. It'll be quite lethal. Well, that's my view anyway. I think Dominic Solanke is the one who's missing out. Now, speaking about Manchester United though, Ten Hag was very happy with the recent performances of Manchester United, and we caught up with him, and this is what he got to say.
We have a squad, and in that squad is internal competition. And if you want to have a successful season, you need more than 11 players. And finally, and there's in every season, it will turn in every season what is the best team. And they were here, they are great players, and they play themselves in the team. And so that is what you expect from every player. This has to be the dedication from every player to aim for this.
I mean, what his words, wasn't it, from Ten Hag? He's got a big squad, but he has got some issues with some of the players, which things happen in the background. For example, Jadon Sancho, he more or less put in the cold, literally. You don't even hear of him anymore. And so he's trying to bring a bit of discipline to the club. So you might have 25 players, but not all of them going to be committed to the cause as far as Ten Hag is concerned. The fans might think otherwise, but at the end of the day is what Ten Hag says, Ten Hag goes. Well, let's go to Molineux. 57 minutes gone there. It's Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Forest 1. And it was, I believe, was it Forest who just hit the crossbar, Richard Bond?
Yeah, they've come out the traps flying, Forest, in the second half. Steve Cooper's probably had a really positive team talk in there, you can imagine. Half-time, they look really up for this game, and they have hit the crossbar. Yeah, we're 6 minutes into the second half. It was Anthony Elanga who managed to strike the crossbar. And I tell you what, it's one of those ones where he had a bit more time than he thought. And, his effort has just come crashing back after being played in from the left-hand side by Nico Williams. He's just peeled away from one of the Wolves defenders, and he's taken a touch, but I think he could have really just had a bit more composure on it, and I think he would have scored. There's two really good chances now for Forest, one before half-time, one just after half-time. Will Wolves make them pay? That's the question, but just over half an hour to go here. It's Wolves 1, Nottingham Forest 1.
I mean, we did mention, Richard, that Steve Cooper is under a lot of pressure. And like we said earlier, there's so many rumours saying that this is going to be the crunch game for him. Is the performance-wise sort of justified to keep him even maybe for another game if they lose, or even if they get a draw out of this?
I think the difference between the two sides, if you kind of really strip it back, is Wolves have that little bit more quality. They have players like Sarabia that can really unlock defences, whereas the heart and commitment from Forest today, unlike the Fulham game in the week, can't be denied. They're really trying for the manager, completely behind the team, but they perhaps just don't lack, without our knee, really. They haven't really got a natural goal scorer up front. You would have thought that chance Elanga had, he would have put the ball in net. Will they stick with Cooper? I don't know. I personally think they should do, because they're trying for him. Would a new manager make a difference? I'm not so sure with the resources he's got, but it's only time will tell. But it does look, I think they've got Tottenham next. It's going to be a really difficult game for them, and a couple of other hard games coming up over the Christmas period. But we shall see. It's Wolves though level with Forest though after 58 minutes. Yeah, 1-1.
Thank you very much, Richard. I did like the thought of actually having a tough game against Tottenham. I'm not sure it's a tough game anymore. Looking at the Tottenham's recent results, they might actually get something out of it. So many clubs have so far in the last few weeks. Well, half an hour to go in the Sheffield United game. They're leading Brentford by 1-0, Jamie McKeague, and Sheffield United are not just waiting for that game to finish. They're actually going for it, haven't they? They want a second to kill off that game.
They're looking for a second, but they could have had a third. Two really big chances for Sheffield United so far this second half. At half-time, there was just one change made, and unsurprisingly, it was by Thomas Frank. Frank Onyeka, who was involved in that dubious red card decision in the first half, which was waved away by VAR, and was replaced by the 19-year-old Ukrainian Yegor Yarmolyuk. Sheffield United had their first chance to double lead just 5 minutes into the second half, and they definitely should have got closer. Gustavo Hammer whipped in a deep cross into the area from about 45 yards out. It looked right into the 6-yard box, exposing Brentford's high defensive line. Sheffield United captain, 21-year-old Anel Ahmedhodzic, got on the end of it, but it just hits him. He doesn't really make an attempt to volley it. I'm not sure he's expecting it. It just bounces off him and rolls wide for a goal kick. That's another chance they should have probably scored from when it fell to the right person. Sheffield United were 2 up, but a couple of minutes later, they had another opportunity, and they definitely should have scored from this one. They once again caught Brentford out like they did for their goal on the counter-attack. It was a poor throw-in from Janelt, and it was scooped up by Cameron Osher, who was also involved in the first goal. He carried it towards the penalty area and played a lovely ball across to William Osula. His first-time effort, though, was straight at flecking the Brentford goalkeeper, and that kept the score 1-0. I think the Danish striker should do a lot better. He is only 20 and inexperienced and still a little bit raw, but it's the first time finish. It's straight at the goalkeeper. You have to put it anywhere else on target, and Sheffield United are 2-0 up. Two big moments already so far in the second half for Sheffield United, whilst Brentford are yet to really get going and look very desperate and are defending for their lives a little bit. The London side will have to step up, or Wilder will get his first win in his second spell under his belt. 61 minutes gone here at Bramall Lane. It still remains Sheffield United 1, Brentford 0.
Thank you very much, Jamie. Next, let's go to the Amex Stadium. Brighton against Burnley, Matt Temporal. And Brighton, I mean, I love looking at stats, Matt. And Brighton, they had 68 of the possession. They had 14 shots with 3 on target. Contrary to Burnley, who has 6 shots, 3 on target. I mean, accuracy-wise, Burnley is definitely the better ones, because the 3 out of 6 is better than 3 out of 14. And not only that, they have got a goal out of it.
Well, yeah, they always say, don't they, John, that only one stat really matters in the game, and that is the scoreline. And it is still Brighton 0, Burnley 1. And although you say that Brighton have had a lot of possession, a lot of shots on target, a lot of them have been speculative efforts from distance, and they've created a bit more since the first half, but nothing really to trouble or worry Burnley too much. It just looks like one of those days where Brighton, nothing's really falling for them. Nothing's opening up for them to have a clear shot on target. They have made a lot of changes. They made a lot of changes at the start of the game from their midweek victory over Brentford, but now Roberto De Zerbi's made 3 further changes, bringing on Mitoma, Gilmore, and Hinshelwood, who scored midweek. So he's really trying to get something out of this game. It's a game that Brighton would be hoping for 3 points in, but at the moment Burnley are really proving that they can defend and they can keep a lead, and maybe that's something that will happen. Brighton will be doing their utmost to change that, that's for sure. And Brighton always score. They have scored in every game so far this season. So is it only a matter of time? I suppose we'll find out. It's 65 minutes gone here. Brighton 0, Burnley 1.
I can tell you, finally, we have a goal in Spain.
The goals.
Well, John, take a guess who the score is.
Yeah, it's Real Betis 0, Real Madrid 1, and Jude Bellingham on the scoreline, and Mark Thomas, take it away.
Thanks, John. I was going to say, guess who the score is? Bellingham, wonderful, wonderful goal. Bahrain with a lovely flick through, and Bellingham, as you'd expect, would put it very, very calmly past the goalkeeper after 53 minutes. Before that, we've had a couple of chances for Real Betis. They've looked a better team in the second half, to be perfectly honest. But I must say, that chip into the box from Bahrain, Bellingham took it down on his chest first time, and then on the half volley, he just caught it beautifully and actually put it through the goalkeeper's legs into the back of the net. Doesn't matter. Great goal after 53 minutes here. We've got Real Madrid 1, Real Betis 0.
I mean, Jude Bellingham, he just can't stop scoring, and he's not even a striker. He's a midfielder. Surely Real Madrid shouldn't be expecting all the goals to come from him. There are other players in there who can do that job, can't they? Rodrigo, Vinicius Jr. Why Jude Bellingham is going into that great form, which is putting him probably as the best midfielder in Europe?
Oh, absolutely. And, Ancelotti said a couple of weeks back, he didn't bring Bellingham in to actually score goals. He brought Bellingham in for the assists to be the provider. But it's turned out 16 goals now in 18 games and 5 assists. You can't beat that. I mean, the guy is, he's a wonder kid. And don't forget, he's only 20 years old, John. Isn't that incredible?
It sure is. The guy got a big future ahead of him. Thank you very much, Mark Thomas. We'll be going back for the latest on that game between Betis and Real Madrid. And as Mark said, Jude Bellingham just can't stop scoring. Now, some team who need to score is Manchester United. They're at home to Bournemouth. It's still losing without Dominic Solanke's goal, Jackson Cole. Again, I love looking at stats, and I'm going to give it to you. 17 shots for Manchester United, 3 on target, 7 for Bournemouth, 2 on target, 8 corners for Manchester United. But like we always say, the end product, it needs to be a goal. But what can Man United do to get that goal just to equalise, let alone to win the game?
Oh, if only I had a clue what Man United needed to do. They're huffing and puffing, but they just cannot blow the Bournemouth defence down. Scott McTominay had their latest chance. His shot was saved well by Neto. Rasmus Højlund has now finally come on. He came on just a few moments after you last came to me, John. He has already received a yellow card. Actually is a bit over-exuberant in trying to win the ball, but I think that's the Danish striker being a bit frustrated that he didn't start this game because he's already made more of an impact than Anthony Martial. He's just asking more and more questions of this Bournemouth defence than the French striker did. But you know what, Bournemouth, it's been the perfect away performance so far. Manchester United, they've had a couple of chances, but nothing which would make you think, oh, they really should have scored that and Bournemouth got away with it. It's been very, very well played by Bournemouth. Just a few seconds ago, Bruno Fernandes, he went down in the box, but the referee wasn't interested. But Bruno Fernandes going down in the box, that's nothing new, really. So, yeah, it's still Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 1.
Thank you very much, Jackson Cole. Manchester United 0. Oh, the minute we leave him, there has been a goal at Old Trafford.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Look away now, Manchester United fans, because it's Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 2. We just spoke about the pressure that Manchester United were using, the substitution that Erik ten Hag made, the stats that is all in favour of Manchester United, yet they've just conceded the second goal after 68 minutes. Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 2. We'll be going to Jackson Cole very, very shortly on the news of that goal. I can tell you the goal scorer is Philip Billing, who scored that second for Bournemouth. They're in seventh heaven. Bournemouth, and what a great game that is for them. Manchester United. Whoa. We said it before, didn't we? The curse of the Premier League manager of the month, Jackson Cole. Every single time, well, I'll say probably 90% when a manager gets that trophy, they lose, don't they, the next game? And it's proven to be so far in that game at Old Trafford.
Yeah, I don't think there's a December Manager of the Month award heading to Erik ten Hag, because it's Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 2, and it's the substitute Philip Billing with a header beyond Andre Onana. It's good play by Dominic Solanke. He played it out left to Milos Kerkez, and he picked out the very tall Billing, who just nodded it past the Cameroon goalkeeper. Bournemouth, they're about 20 minutes or so away from a first ever win at Old Trafford. It's Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 2.
Is there a chance that maybe Jackson that bringing someone else? I mean, I know Marcus Rashford is out of favour. The form is not being great this season, but surely for the last maybe 20 minutes or so, to bring him on and trying to prove to the manager something and get at least a goal back.
I think, yeah, Ten Hag's got to go for broke here. Marcus Rashford has got to go on, even if that means leaving Manchester United a bit bare at the back. And, well, you spoke about Jadon Sancho earlier on in this broadcast. It'd be pretty useful to have someone of his quality at your disposal right now. But Erik ten Hag has put him out in the cold, and he's paying the price today. It's Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 2.
Yes, it's Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 2, and the other score so far is Brighton 0, Burnley 1, so it's not going great for the home sides here. Sheffield United, however, they are leading Brighton by a goal to 0, and still 1-0 between Wolverhampton Wanderers and Nottingham Forest. The game that we're concentrating on in the La Liga is Real Betis 0, Real Madrid 1. In France, 31 minutes gone, it's still Rennes 0, Monaco 0. And in the Saudi Pro League, after 70 minutes, it's Ahli Jeddah 0, Al Raed 0. Now, full-time scores has all come in from the early kickoffs, or I'll say just finishing the last 10 minutes or so in the German Bundesliga. Bayern Munich has suffered a big, heavy defeat to Eintracht Frankfurt, losing by 5-1. Heidenheim have beaten Darmstadt by 3-2. Union Berlin have beaten Borussia Mönchengladbach by 3-1. Werder Bremen has beaten Augsburg by 2-0. And Freiburg have scored a late winner against Wolfsburg and win that game by 1-0. Now, in the Championship, there's a few games happening at the moment. Cardiff and Millwall still 0-0. Huddersfield and Bristol City are 1-0. Leicester City, who are flying in the Championship at the moment, and they need to if they want to come back to the Premier League, they're leading Plymouth by 4-0. Middlesbrough losing at home to Ipswich by 2-0. Norwich and Preston still 0-0. QPR leading Hull by 1-0. Rotherham 1-0 with Swansea. Rotherham playing with 10 men. Stoke and Sheffield United Wednesday are still 0-0, and Watford are losing at home to the informed Southampton by 1-0. I don't think it's any better time to go to Andrew Baracore with the latest odds of NairaBet, and I'm sure he will tell us more about any interesting odds on the Manchester United game.
Here's Andrew Buonacore with all the very latest odds from NairaBet.
Yes, as we've been hearing, it's all going off at Old Trafford. And just looking at that Man United game, Man United are 17.00 to win the game, but 6.50 to get a draw from here into our other game. In fact, yes, possible action at Old Trafford. But Sheffield United to hold on for the draw is 1.44. Brighton to get the draw 3.00. And some very interesting odds for some scorers in that Man United goal. But we'll just hand back to John.
Thank you very much, Andrew. I was going to say, just announce it. Go on, announce it. And
Well,
there
I'd
has
love
been
to.
there's been a third goal at Old Trafford.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Well. Manchester United are losing now by 3-0 at home to Bournemouth. It's Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 3. And the Marcos Senesi has scored for Bournemouth. We'll be going to Jackson Cole very, very shortly on the news of that goal. But it's astonishing result. We've seen Bayern Munich lose 5-1 today, and now Manchester United losing by 3-1. I can tell you also, there's been a goal at the Amex Stadium.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And Brighton have leveled up. It's Brighton 1, Burnley 1, and it's gone back to Levin George and Simon Adingra, who scored for Brighton. But first, let's go to Jackson Cole for the news of that third killing goal from Bournemouth.
Yep, that's surely game, set and match for Bournemouth. It's Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 3. Incredible scenes at Old Trafford. But my goodness, it was absolutely woeful defending by the Red Devils. There was a corner whipped in from the right by Marcus Tavernier, and there was an unmarked Marcos Senesi just to nod it home easily past Andre Onana. I don't want to say, I feel like a broken record, but this is truly a crisis at Old Trafford. They're being well beaten here by one of the, let's face it, lesser teams in this division. It's Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 3.
So the latest score so far with about 12-15 minutes to go.
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM.
Get involved in NairaBet's goals giveaway and net yourself a free bet. Aston Villa take on league leaders Arsenal, and we are giving away free bets every time a goal is scored. How many goals are we going to see? Ollie Watkins currently has 8 league goals, whereas Saka and Nketiah are on 5. Whether you back the Villains or the Gunners, even if your bet does not win, you will still be eligible for the free bet. All you need to do is log into www.nairabet.com, bet on Aston Villa versus Arsenal, receive your free bet to use on any sports or virtuals. Full details can be found on our promotions page. Must be over 18. Minimum odds of 1.5. Must be a real money bet. Bets must be placed before kickoff. Cashed out bets do not qualify. General and free bet terms and conditions apply. Please gamble responsibly.
The goals, the team news, all the updates, all the key action, scores from around Europe's top leagues, exclusive interviews, breaking news.
4 hours of football every Saturday and Sunday on Brila FM with Football Live.
Football Live returns to Brila FM tomorrow afternoon. The show starts at 3 o'clock and you can follow the fortunes of Chelsea as they head to Goodison Park to take on Everton.
They're brilliant because they're less boring.
Manchester City are also in action. They face a trip to Bedfordshire to take on Luton Town at Kenilworth Road.
So, but football is like that sometimes.
There's a big match at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's Tottenham Hotspur against Newcastle United.
You love that, you relish that.
And 2 London derbies for you in the Premier League. Fulham against West Ham United, and in the WSL, the girls go face to face. Yes, it's Arsenal against Chelsea. And we'll have all of these matches covered right here on Brila FM tomorrow afternoon on Football Live.
Around the grounds, chasing the goals.
A goal that is going to blow open the title race in the Bundesliga.
Well, this wasn't supposed to happen. It's been an unbelievable day here on Football Live.
4 hours of football every Saturday and Sunday on Brila FM with Football Live.
Let's get back to the action on Football Live.
Hit it, boys.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with John Kane.
This show is all about goals, and we got another one.
The goals, Powered by NairoBet.
And it's come in Spain, and now it's Real Betis 1, Real Madrid 1, and Aitor Ruibal has scored in the 66th minute. We'll be going to Mark Thomas now to tell us more of our equaliser from Pellegrini's men.
Well, the place has got absolutely nuts here, John. Good play down the right-hand side. Ruibal caught it beautifully. A shot that the goalkeeper fully stretched, but given no chance, into the top left-hand corner. Terrific goal. They've been pushing for a goal because, they know they have to. They have to make something of this game now. And boy, do we have game on here. Right after 66 minutes, John. The game is equal. To be honest with you, there's no telling which way this one will go. The score, 1-1. Real Madrid 1, Real Betis 1.
Thank you very much, Mark. Now let's go back to the Premier League. And Steve Cooper wanted a big response from his team, especially with all the rumours we've been hearing. And this is what he's got to say on what he's expecting from his players.
Well, obviously, yeah, you're still feeling the disappointment and the frustration and everything that we talked about post-game last night is still there, of course, and rightly so. We have to get ready for the game on Saturday. So, but we have got to do whatever it takes to try and make Saturday a much more positive day in terms of result and performance. And you can go in all sorts of depths of detail, but it really is as simple as that. It's about standing right at the front and accepting responsibility for last night and doing everything we can to put it right on Saturday.
Yes, it was a very heavy defeat for Forest in midweek, 5-0, and it wasn't fun for the Forest manager, Richard Bond. At the moment, it's still 1-1 away to Wolverhampton Wanderers. But I think from what you can hear from Steve Cooper, to be fair to the players, they are doing quite well away from home. And let's not forget, it's a derby game.
Yeah, they're having a really good go at this as well now in this second half. They've been the better side since half-time, and they've had another really good opportunity. And this time it was Toffolo, again, the goal scorer from the first half. Neco Williams played really well. He's been a good addition to bring in the Welsh player, like on the left-hand side. Good bit of quality, whipping the ball into the back post. Very similar to the first goal, in fact. But he's put the ball right in there. It's on Toffolo's head. All he's got to do is head it on target. I think it's in. But he's headed wide. It's a big chance. And that's 3 I've counted now. Really good opportunities for us. They've blown. But they've got to be wary. Wolves did have a chance of their own. And Cunha, he's been in really good form. A couple of assists, a couple of goals recently. He held off one of the centre halves, Murillo, who's gone off injured just minutes ago afterwards, with a good bit of strength. Just to take a touch to go around, and he's pulled a really good save from Matt Turner in the Forest goal coming in today. This game's still for the taking. 10 minutes and probably a bit of stoppage time to go. It could go either way, but it would be a really good point for Forest in the fighting performance today. Wolves 1, Forest 1 though with 10 minutes to go.
Thank you very much, Rich. We did mention earlier that Brighton have equalised against Burnley, and I forgot to go to Matt Temporal, so I do apologise, Matt. Matt, give us more details on that equaliser for Brighton.
Yeah, well, Brighton had been ramping up the pressure after half-time, and they got their just desserts finally after some beautiful build-up play and never really creating a good chance. What do they resort to? Just get the ball in the box. Pascal Gross with a great in-swinging cross from the left-hand side to the back post, and there was 2 players that could have scored, but it was Simon Adingra that got his head to the ball, back across the goalkeeper into the bottom corner of the net. So an equaliser that's well deserved for Brighton. It'll be interesting now to see if Brighton really go for the throat of Burnley, or if Burnley are happy with a draw. Maybe Burnley, 3 points would be extremely valuable in a game like this. But I always said there's goals in these Brighton games, and I'm sure there'll be a lot more chances created yet. 85 minutes approaching, and it's Brighton 1, Burnley 1.
So let's go with the latest scores in the English Premier League. As we just heard, it's Brighton 1, Burnley 1. Manchester United got 8 minutes to do something about their game. They're losing at home by 3-0 to Bournemouth. 7 minutes to go to the full time in the game at Bramall Lane. The leading Brentford, Sheffield United that is, by 1-0. And about 9 minutes past stoppage time at Molineux. Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Nottingham Forest 1. 71 minutes gone in Spanish La Liga. It's Real Betis 1, Real Madrid 1. Mark Thomas just gave us the news on that Real Betis equaliser. It's coming to half time in French Ligue 1. It's Rennes 0, Monaco 0, and it's about 8 minutes to go full time in the Saudi Pro League, and it's Ahli Jeddah and Al Raed still 0-0 in that game. Now later on we got Aston Villa against Arsenal. It's a big game for both clubs. Arsenal, well, they were top until Liverpool won early on, but they can regain that top. Aston Villa, they're third, and they're just coming in really sneakily. No one is noticing Aston Villa. They're third in the league and they're playing really beautiful football. And it's probably a time for Unai Emery to show Arsenal today what they missed on when they sacked him a few seasons ago. But we're going to listen to Mikel Arteta and what he thinks of today's game.
Well, I think a team has to have an unbelievable desire to win every match. And I think we've got that. And I think we've shown that time and time again. Well, it shows the quality of the league, and last year there were others, and it shows the competitiveness and the difficulty to be out there, but they fully merit where they are. I think I'm going to be in director's box. I don't know if it's a discussion we're going to have later on, but let's see. I will have a really nice view, hopefully.
Yeah, what he's talking about, the director's box, he had 3 yellow cards this season, Mikel Arteta, and he had the third one on Wednesday, I believe, or Tuesday, when they beat Luton by 4-3. The last few seconds, they scored the 4th goal, and they won at Kenilworth Road by 4-3. And he came off this area, and he got the 3rd yellow of the season. So now he's missing from the touchline, and it's going to be his assistant who's taking matters into his own hands in the as far as the pitch is concerned. So he'll have a nice view, like he said. Take it on the director's box. So would that make any difference? I think it does. I personally does, especially when you're playing away. You need your manager to be there with you. Man United 29.00, courtesy of Naira, but of course that is subject to change. To scrap a draw. Thank you, Andrew Manacori, for that info. But let's go to Jackson Cole. 5 minutes to go. Man United are losing by 3-0. I think 29.0, or probably it's gone higher now, Jackson. It's probably, you wouldn't even put £1 on any money on that at all, wouldn't you? No chance of Man United making a miracle here. They scored 3 or 4 even.
No, I'd say those are very generous odds. If you want to keep your money, then don't bet on Man United right now. It's just a very limp and lifeless display by Erik ten Hag's men right now. They know the game is up, and in fact, there's been a lot of frustration that's been creeping in to the Red Devils' play. Bruno Fernandes, just a couple of minutes ago, has been yellow carded, and now that means he misses Manchester United's next match, and it's a big one as well, because they've got to go to Liverpool at Anfield in the Premier League next Sunday. So yet another setback for Manchester United, who will be without their club captain for what many people think is the biggest fixture in English football. Erik ten Hag, he did make a treble substitution a few minutes before that. Marcus Rashford is finally on the pitch, as are Facundo Pellistri and Johnny Evans. They came on for Luke Shaw, Anthony and Alejandro Garnacho respectively. But this is going to be a Bournemouth win. So I know we shouldn't make these kind of predictions, but Manchester United, they have no belief that they're going to get back into it whatsoever. And Bournemouth have deserved it. They'll deserve the 3 points, and the away fans will be delighted to have seen that the Cherries put in such a great performance. It's now going to be 5 in the league without defeat for Iraola's men. Well done to Bournemouth. It's Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 3.
I mean, we did think that Bournemouth had been improving under their new manager, and they're getting really great results, haven't they, Jackson? But I think no one really expected them to win at Old Trafford, let alone score 3 goals.
Yeah, absolutely. The manner of this victory has been very, very impressive. But yeah, I was expecting this to be a pretty comfortable afternoon for Manchester United. As we've said, Bournemouth are in good form, but then you think, okay, this is going to be the day where this good run comes to an end. But they've carried it on, and as I said, they've absolutely deserved it. They've been far more efficient than Manchester United in front of goal, and they've worked far better as a team. And, well, we're still a few minutes away from the 90 minutes, but I'm seeing a lot of empty seats at Old Trafford. And I'm not really someone who, I don't think I've ever left a game early in my life, but for once, I don't blame these Manchester United fans. What they've seen today has been dreadful.
Thank you very much, Jackson. I can tell you it's 8 minutes of injury time at the Amex between Brighton and Burnley, and still 1-1 there. But let's go to Bramall Lane. But a minute plus stoppage time there between Sheffield United and Brentford, Jamie McKeag. And Sheffield United are on the verge of a big win for them. A team who's bottom of the league, they need them to win them games at home.
They need this win, and they deserve this win. This second half, you expected Brentford to come out, make a couple of attacking substitutions and go for it and peg Sheffield United back, but that's not been the case at all. And this second half, Sheffield United look like a team that are chasing the game and in need for a goal. Ben Mee actually made an incredible recovery challenge to keep the score at 1-0 after a deep ball came in from Gustavo Hamer to Cameron Archer, who played it first time from the left-hand side into the box, but Ben Mee was able to scoop it out and brilliantly stop his team from going behind further. Brentford have had a couple of chances. Mikkel Damsgaard tried to pick out Wissa in behind with a good through ball, but his pass was just overhit and Foderingham was able to come out and collect it. Wissa had another chance inside the area. It was a well-hit volley off the back of a throw-in, but the shot nestled into the hands of Foderingham. There's around, let's say, 6, 7, maybe 8 minutes left. But honestly, Brentford this second half haven't pegged back Sheffield United, and this game is still very open. Sheffield United, to be fair to them, aren't rolling over. They're going for it, and they're defending, pressing and attacking very well. Do not be surprised if the home team get another. There are some substitutes we can talk about, though. William Asula for Sheffield United, who had a couple of chances in the first half. He came off in the 53rd minute for Anis Ben Slimani, who has had a couple of chances for Sheffield United as well. Max Lowe and Saidi Peck, both came on for James McAtee, the goal scorer, and Andre Brooks, who was very good on the left-hand side. And Thomas Frank has made a couple more changes for Brentford as well. Mikkel Damsgaard and 19-year-old Nigerian winger Michael Olakigbe has replaced Kane Lewis-Potter, and Mikkel Damsgaard came on for Shandon Baptiste. Like I said, only a couple of minutes left, but to be honest, if Sheffield United do run out winners here, they've more than deserved it. 88 minutes gone here at Bramall Lane. The scores stay the same as they have done basically the entire 90 minutes. Sheffield United 1, Brentford 0.
Thank you very much, Jamie. I can tell you, at Sheffield United, they've just gone into injury time, and it's going to be 4 minutes. 4 minutes of injury time there. And at Old Trafford, it's going to be 5 minutes of injury time, but I think the sooner the better for Manchester United just to finish the game. And 3-0 at home to Bournemouth, it's not a result that you really want to show off to your friends, that's for sure. However, Molineux, in the dying seconds of normal time, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Nottingham Forest 1, Richard Bond. They're coming to injury time, and it seems Forest a bit hungry trying to get the 3 points, haven't they?
Oh, they're desperate to get these 3 points for Steve Cooper this afternoon, but they're just not taking those chances. And another one came, and it was a lovely ball that came in. They won a corner on the left-hand side. Really well taken delivery from Ryan Yates into the box. Carnage in there. Substitute Chris Wood, who's just come on. He's making himself known, as you can imagine, with his height and stature. Ball half cleared from the Wolves defence, out to the edge of the box. There is Gibbs White on there. He's let it bounce, taken the half volley, and he smashed it so hard, and it's just fizzed towards the goal, but just risen over the crossbar. It's getting closer for Forest, but time is running out here at Molineux. We have 4 minutes stoppage time has just been announced on the board, so it's still Wolves 1, Nottingham Forest 1. Can we get a winner?
I can tell you, and Man United fans definitely look away now. It's been a 4th goal at Old Trafford.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And we're playing the 2nd minute of injury time at Old Trafford. It's now Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 4. I don't think anyone would have written that script on that game. It's absolutely unbelievable for Man United to lose, let alone to lose 4-0 at home to Bournemouth, with all the respect to Bournemouth. I mean, we have 2 big games today. Bayern Munich losing 5-1 to Eintracht away from home. And now we've got Manchester United losing to Bournemouth by 4-0. This has been scored in the 2nd minute of injury time. It's a total of 5 minutes. And I did say early on that probably they need to finish the game as soon as possible as far as they're concerned. We're playing in the dying seconds at Brighton Burnley. Still 1-1 there. Dying seconds as well at Sheffield United. They're leading Brentford by a goal to nil. As just heard from Richard Bond, it's 1-1 between Wolverhampton Wanderers and Forest in Spain. 81 minutes gone and still Real Betis 1, Real Madrid 1. In French League, it's half-time between Rennes and Monaco. It's 0-0 there, and it's 0-0 in the dying seconds as well of the Saudi Pro League between Al Ahly and Al Raid. And I can tell you, I think it seemed like a bit of VAR incident at Man United. But we'll go to Jackson Cole to tell us more about that goal. And, I mean, if it's a goal or not, Jackson Cole, the damage has been done, isn't it?
Yeah, the damage has well and truly been done, John. And, well, this goal just summed up how poor the day has been for Manchester United. It was Burkina Faso international Dango Ouattara who scored the goal, but it was Harry Maguire was dispossessed. And then it was still, well, I've just seen that the goal has been disallowed, but yeah, Harry Maguire was dispossessed and the ball was played to Ouattara, who then got past Onana and slotted it home, but the Man United defenders were at sea. Fortunately for them, it has been disallowed, so it is actually still Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 3.
Thank you very much. The games are still playing. They're all playing in injury time in the Premier League. It's Brighton 1, Burnley 1. As you just heard, Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 3, Sheffield United 1, Brentford 0, and Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Nottingham Forest 1. They're still playing in the dying seconds. But what we're going to do now, we're going to go hand over to FJ and the team in Nigeria to give you all the news of the Nigerian players around the globe. And he can go through all your comments and calls and interactions on social media. And we're back here very shortly. Once again, good afternoon, FJ. And it's definitely not a big day for Man United fans or Bayern Munich fans.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with John Kane.
Yes, welcome back and thank you very much, FJ. I tell you what, I love the enthusiasm when you were announcing the Manchester United game result. You were probably more excited than the Bournemouth fans, I can tell you that, that's for sure. Well, Bournemouth have beaten Manchester United, I'm sure you know by now, by 3-0 at Old Trafford. Sheffield United beat Brentford by 1-0. Brighton drew with Burnley 1 each, and likewise between Wolves and Nottingham Forest. Before we go to the full-time reports, first we're going to go to Billy Andrews, who's going to be watching Aston Villa against Arsenal. And with all the team news, good afternoon, Billy.
Good afternoon, John. Good afternoon, everyone. And you won't be surprised to hear that Aston Villa are unchanged from their 1-0 win over Manchester City midweek. Leon Bailey scoring that crucial goal. So the lineup for Aston Villa is Emi Martinez, the former Arsenal goalkeeper. Ezri Konsa remains at right back with Matty Cash on the bench. Diego Carlos and Pau Torres in centre back with Luca Digne at left back. Leon Bailey, Boubacar Kamara, Douglas Luiz and John McGinn in the midfield for Yuri Tielemans in the 10 position behind Ollie Watkins. As for Arsenal, just the one change from that 4-3 win over Luton with Alexander Zinchenko coming in to replace Kivior. So David Raya, despite those mistakes midweek, keeps his place in goal. Ben White at right back with Saliba and Gabriel at centre back and Zinchenko on the left. Ødegaard, Rice and Havertz in a midfield three with Saka, Jesus and Martinelli up front for Arsenal. Arsenal looking to go back to the top of the Premier League table after Liverpool went 1 point ahead of them. And Aston Villa looking to close the gap on second place and pull ahead 5 points of Manchester City. The game kicks off in just over 8 minutes, John.
Thank you very much, Billy. I mean, I can't really help not talking about the goalkeeper situation at Arsenal because it's proved to be very, very vital, isn't it? They got number one in Aaron Ramsdale, who, in my point of view, and some of the Arsenal fans' point of view, that he actually never done anything wrong. Then David Raya came along. And the irony, isn't it, is that they're playing against a team who Emilio Martinez was part of the Arsenal, and they let him go, as well as at the time when they had Bernd Leno, who's doing very well for Fulham, and let him go. So they spent about 50 million on two goalkeepers, yet they could have stuck with two of their own without spending a single penny.
Exactly, you know, Bernd Leno's back in the Germany side and Emi Martinez pivotal to that Argentina win at the World Cup. So they had two very good goalkeepers. Obviously, you know, Emi Martinez didn't get the chances that he thought he deserved towards the end, and Bernd Leno did make some mistakes, but goalkeepers make mistakes. You know, we've seen Alisson and Ederson make mistakes, and Andre Onana's had a handful of mistakes for Manchester United despite his fantastic season for Inter Milan last season. So it's an interesting one. I think Arteta is going to have to give it another look, that goalkeeper situation. If David Raya continues to make mistakes, then Aaron Ramsdale probably will have to come back in, you would say.
Absolutely, Billy. Thank you very much. We'll be coming back to you very, very shortly, and we'll be having a few chats on as the game progresses. So we've got about 7 minutes to go for the kick-off between Aston Villa and Arsenal. It already kicked off on one of the games that keeping an eye on in Italian Serie A between Atalanta and AC Milan. And it's still 0-0 after 23 minutes. And also we got, of course, Atalanta AC Milan. Ryan Benjamin is there. We'll go to him very, very shortly on that. And also we keep an eye on the game in the German Bundesliga, which kicks off at the same time as the Aston Villa and Arsenal. That is Borussia Dortmund against RB Leipzig. And that would be with Ethan Garner. But first and foremost, let's speak with Ayu Alabi, who joined us from Nairobi. Good afternoon, or good evening, in fact, Ayu. We've got a big game ahead of us today. Aston Villa against Arsenal. What does the odds tell us about that game? Good afternoon, Ayu. Can you hear us? We'll be coming back to Ayu very, very shortly. I tell you what, let's just have a quick peek at the Atalanta AC Milan. 24 minutes gone, Ryan Benjamin, and still 0-0, but I'm assuming that Atalanta doing very well. I mean, they love scoring goals, don't they, Ryan? And but Milan, more touch and go at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Atalanta have created the two best chances, really. Charles De Ketelaere, he was 5 yards out and puts the ball into the stands. He sunk down to his knees with his head in his hands. It was a great opportunity. And then he went through again and inexplicably tried to chop back when he was around 7 yards out. He could have just shot on his right foot, but chose not to. So Atalanta, who don't have a great record at home against Milan, 1 win in the last 7 games, will be kicking themselves that they're not at least 1-0 up. They could maybe be 2-0 up as well. But of course, it's a huge week for Milan as well. So they'll be looking to keep an eye on Atalanta, but also doing well in the Champions League in the week as well.
Thank you very much, Ryan. We'll be coming back to you very, very shortly on more updates on that game between Atalanta and Milan. As you just heard, it's still 0-0. We've got about 4 minutes for the big kickoff for this evening between Aston Villa and Arsenal. And we have got now Ayu Alabi from Nairobi. Good evening, Ayu. It's a big game, this is. It'd be really interesting to hear what the odds are for both teams who are playing second and third as we stand.
Good evening, John. It's a big game, as you said. Aston Villa playing against playing against Arsenal. I'm at Old Trafford right now, absolutely dejected after seeing that shocking performance from United. But we'll move on. Aston Villa are 3.50 to win the game in 90 minutes, and a draw is 3.80. Arsenal are 2.05. Arsenal are overwhelming favourites to win this game, which is not surprising, but Villa are on a terrific run of form. 14 home wins in a row. I think that's a club record. And it's going to be a tough game for both sides. Last season, Arsenal won 4-2. And to get a repeat of 4-2 this time around, Arsenal are 51.00 to win the game 4-2. Aston Villa to win the game 4-2 is 81.00. Aston Villa have not really, the last game against City, they were magnificent. And if you can beat City, you can beat anybody. I'm actually going to tip Aston Villa to win this game. Aston Villa to win the game 1-0 is 12.00. A draw of 0-0 is, a draw at 0-0 is 9.50. And Arsenal to win the game 1-0 is 9.00. But I'm going to go different this week. I'm going to combine both teams to score and the match results. So both teams to score and match results for Aston Villa to win the game is, just give me 5 seconds. So both teams to score and Aston Villa to win is 5.25. If you fancy Aston Villa to win the game, you think Arsenal should be good enough to score 1 goal. That means if Arsenal score 1 goal and Aston Villa are going to win, they will need to score 2. So Aston Villa to win the game, both teams to score 5.25. That's my best. However, first goal scorer market is interested. first goal scorer market, and the hat-trick markets, of course. Anytime player to score, looking at the team news, anytime player to score, William Saliba is 17.00 to score at any time. You think this is a game where chances will be limited, chances will be at a premium. A defender could be the one from a set piece, from a header or something like that. That is a good shot for Saliba to score. Or Gabriel. Is it Gabriel or Gabriel, how is it pronounced? In central defense at 18.00 to score at any point in time. The first goal scorer market is John McCain to score first. It's 17.00. Yuri Tillemans is also 17. That is a good shout. And Declan Rice, who's been scoring winning goals, and who scored 2 winning goals this season, is 19.00 to win the game. But my bet, both teams to score, Aston Villa to win 5.25 with NairaBet.
Those are terrific odds. Thank you very much for coming in today to giving us all that great odds. Of course, all of that courtesy of NairaBet, and we'll be speaking to you again tomorrow with Barry Swain. Much appreciated. Thank you very much, Ayu. Thank you very much. We've got about 30 seconds or so for kickoff. We'll keep you an eye on that, but I think we're missing out on the full-time reports from early on, and nothing better way to start at Old Trafford, where Ayu is. And we got our reporter Jackson Cole with that full-time report of the humiliating defeat for Manchester United today.
Very humiliating indeed. Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 3. What an afternoon for the Cherries, who claimed the first ever win at Old Trafford at the 11th attempt. It was goals by Dominic Solanke, Philip Billing and Marcos Senesi that gives Andoni Iraola's men a famous win. Oh, and by the way, they did have 2 goals disallowed too. And it also stretches their unbeaten record in the Premier League to 5 games. A brilliant away performance by Bournemouth, but wow, they weren't half helped by a poor Manchester United side who never got going at Old Trafford. They've lost 7 of their 16 league games this term, and in a season that's already seen plenty of lows, this may be the lowest one yet for Erik ten Hag's men. And they're in for a tough week. It's Bayern Munich in the Champions League, where they must win and rely on a result elsewhere to avoid elimination on Tuesday, before they then go to current Premier League leaders Liverpool next Sunday. And they'll have to do it without club captain Bruno Fernandes, who picked up a needless yellow card and thus a suspension for the trip to Anfield, due to it being his 5th caution of the season. The Man United players were obviously booed off at full time, as well as half time. That's because it's finished Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 3.
Just quickly, Jackson, I'll throw it at you. With the humiliating defeat for Manchester United and the playing Bayern Munich, who themselves suffered a 5-1 defeat away to Eintracht Frankfurt, it's going to be very hard to pick who's going to be the winner coming this week.
Yeah, I suppose both teams are going into it in terrible form, but I think, well, Manchester United, they know they have to win, and even that might not be enough, because the other game in the group, I think they need a draw to happen to then finish in the top 2. So I think Manchester United will be going into this game with pretty low spirits, because the odds were against them anyway. But after such a humiliating afternoon against one of the lesser sides in the Premier League, I just cannot for the life of me see how they get out of that group in the Champions League. And then it's Liverpool next week, who are in very, very good form and right now are top of the Premier League. So yeah, I do, if those games go particularly badly, who knows what that's going to mean for Erik ten Hag's future at Old Trafford.
Exactly. Jackson Cole, thank you very much. Just reiterating the actual scoreline for the game that Jackson was watching is ended Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 3. I can tell you we're in the 2nd minute of Villa against Arsenal. Still 0-0. It's still 0-0 at Italy in the Serie A between Atalanta and AC Milan in the 32nd goal, and also his big kick-off at the German Bundesliga. It's still 0-0 between Borussia Dortmund and RB Leipzig. We'll be going to Ethan Gardner very shortly on the team news on that game, but let's carry on with our full-time reports. Next, let's go to Molineux with Richard Bond, who saw a draw between the 2 clubs, between Wolverhampton Wanderers and Forest. But Richard, most importantly, is Steve Cooper going to escape the chop this week? That's, I think, going to be the main one, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting question because it perhaps isn't enough, but I did indeed see a draw here at Molineux. It was Wolves 1, Nottingham Forest 1 in the game, lacking a cutting edge at times. Nottingham Forest earned a well-deserved point against the Wolves side, who extended their unbeaten home record to 6 games. Teams couldn't be split on the day, but Forest rethinking what could have been after having the game's better chances. Steve Cooper's side took the lead in the 15th minute with the game's first chance, with Harry Toffolo sneaking in at the back post, head home Nico Williams' pinpoint cross against the run of play. Whilst Wolves would dominate possessional stats, they offered little in the final third, until a moment of quality from Paulo Sarabia saw the Spaniard pick out Matías Cunha to equalise the home side after a sweeping move with pace and intent. That would be as good as it got for Wolves, though, who could count themselves lucky really to go into the interval level, with Czech Kouyaté missing a really good chance, failing to take advantage of Craig Dawson's error and being well placed on goal. Resolute Forest really came out in the second half looking to get a result for their manager, but lacked the quality and composure usually seen by striker Taiwo Awoniyi, as chances for Elanga and Toffolo went begging to earn the 3 points, with the game petering out into disappointment. It's Tottenham and informed Bournemouth next for Forest, both at home after a much improved showing today. You do, though, feel if they take nothing out of those 2 games, it could be a long Christmas, close to even the bottom 3 of the league. So Steve Cooper, we shall see tonight. It wasn't perhaps enough for him, we don't know, but the players were totally behind him. Wolves, though, one of those days with Gary O'Neill, you'll be happy with a point, solidifies their position in mid-table after a poor showing. It finished, though, here. Wolves 1, Nottingham Forest 1.
Just finally, though, Richard, as far as Steve Cooper is concerned, I mean, he got them to back into the Premier League, and that is his 2nd season, if I remember rightly, in charge of the club in the Premier League. It's always hard, isn't it, to sack a manager? That's if he is to be sacked, that is, of course. But it's always hard to sack a manager when you actually done so much for the club, isn't it? It's not going to be easier regardless what the outcome will be this week for the board to take.
Well, the interesting thing with Steve Cooper is he took over the club when they were bottom of the championship. You know, it's only a couple of years ago. They were really struggling. They brought him in, and not only did he take them from the bottom, he took them up in the same season. It was an incredible season for Nottingham Forest to come back into the league after being away for so long. So yes, it is going to be a really big decision to make. And like I've said throughout the game, the players and the fans are both on side. So if the board are going to sack him, perhaps that's not going to be a very popular choice. But football is a results game, and if you're not getting the results, you're under pressure. We shall see in the next couple of days, I feel.
Thank you very much, Richard Bond. Yes, Molineux and Wolves and Forest have shared the spoils by a goal each. Next, let's go to Bramall Lane, where Jamie McKee was watching Sheffield United against Brentford. Jamie, it's a big win, isn't it, for Sheffield United? And it's been a good start, isn't it, for Chris Wilder, regardless they lost to Liverpool in midweek. But, I mean, Liverpool are a big club and a better position-wise. And I think coming at home and beating teams like Brentford for Chris Wilder is probably the perfect start for him.
It is indeed, and it was a terrific performance today by Sheffield United and a very well-deserved win. Just at the end there, Brentford had a free kick just past the halfway, and the free kick, in my opinion, summed up Sheffield United today. They cleared it again, and they got bodies as close to the ball as possible, as quickly as they could. They worked really hard today and defended brilliantly. Then attacked were great too. It should have been more than 1-0 is actually quite a flattering scoreline for Brentford, in my opinion. Their pressing, this is Sheffield United's pressing, was relentless, and they nullified Brentford all game. Brentford, however, will be very frustrated because this is a game you should be winning. Bottom of the table, when you're having a decent start of the season, you have to win, but it never got going for them. They didn't have a proper chance you'd expect them to score, and they weren't as efficient in possession as they needed to be, even though they had a lot of the ball. Yes, and Burn was a big miss, but you'd expect them to do a lot better than what they did. Thomas Frank would be frustrated, but Wilder will be delighted, and it's a massive win for Sheffield United. We don't move off the bottom of the table, but it is a step in the right direction. A piece of individual brilliance from James McAtee put Sheffield United ahead, but it was a team performance that won them the game. Final score here at Bramall Lane: Sheffield United 1, Brentford 0.
Thank you very much, Jamie. Yes, and I can tell you, we already have a goal in the Premier League.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
After 7 minutes gone, it's Aston Villa 1, Arsenal 0. Let's go straight to Billy Andrews on the news of that goal.
And Villa Park has erupted after just 7 minutes. It's John McGinn with the goal. It was a fantastic team goal. It started all the way back with Emi Martinez to Pau Torres. Worked its way out to Boubacar Kamara. He found Leon Bailey. Of course, fantastic against Man City midweek. He got the beating of Alexander Zinchenko. A few lovely step-overs to get past Gabriel. He pulled it to John McGinn, who's completely unmarked on the penalty spot. One touch to get it out of his feet and into the far right-hand corner past the diving David Raya. 30 seconds before, Bukayo Saka had a fantastic chance to put Arsenal 1-0 up, but he fluffed his lines and got the volley all wrong. You have to say it's been like a basketball game at Villa Park, but Aston Villa, after 7 minutes, 1 up, and the former Villa manager Unai Emery having the last laugh as it stands.
Thank you very much, Billy. I can tell you while this is happening, we had our first goal in Serie A.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
They've waited for 39 minutes for a goal in that game, and now is Atalanta 1, AC Milan 0, and no one better than Ryan Benjamin to describe for us that goal.
It's Ademola Lookman, the Nigeria international, with his 5th of the season. A long throw into the box. Ademola Lookman takes the ball, surrounded by Milan players, wriggles away, has a shot that deflects off Tomori, and it loops over Mike Mannion, who can only just watch the ball from the ground. It goes in. Atlanta, deserving of their lead, I think. They've had 2 other really good chances, but it's Lookman who puts the home side ahead. And Milan, well, it was a poor goal to concede from their point of view. Great stuff from Atlanta. 39 minutes gone, 1-0.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Of course, like we said to you earlier, the other game that we're concentrating on in our show, well, for the second half of the show, is in the German Bundesliga. It's 9 minutes gone in that game between Borussia Dortmund and RB Leipzig. A big game for both, especially for Borussia Dortmund, who probably were laughing their head off when they saw the Bayern Munich result early on, losing 5-1 to Eintracht Frankfurt. And Ethan Gardner is here for the team news and the first encounters of the first 10 minutes.
Well, good evening, John. Good evening, everyone. And this promises to be a massive encounter in the German Bundesliga. Both of these sides, of course, challenged for the title last season. There's a little bit of a gap between them and the top, but of course, that loss that you've just mentioned for Bayern today will give them both hope. And from their last game, both sides have made changes. Dortmund, last time out in the Bundesliga, drew 1-1 away at leaders Leverkusen. And they've made 3 changes from that game, bringing in Ben Sebaini, Thomas Meunier and Salih Özcan into the side. For Leipzig, it's 1 change to the side, but it does mean a change in formation. Danish striker Yusuf Poulsen has made way for centre-back Castello Lukeba. Both sides in the opening exchanges here finding space. It looks like it's going to be an incredibly exciting encounter, but no real chances yet. After 9 minutes, it is Dortmund 0, Leipzig 0.
Thank you very much, Ethan. I think the best way to go back to Villa Park, Billy Andrews, 10 minutes gone, or nearly 11 in fact. Aston Villa with the early goal. How has Arsenal's response been so far?
Well, the pattern of the game hasn't really changed, John. Like I said, it is like a basketball game. It's Arsenal attack, lose the ball, and then Villa have a go and have lost the ball. So Gabriel Martinelli's had a couple of good chances, but a couple of lovely stats for you about this game. So Villa haven't lost when going ahead in the Premier League since the 4-2 defeat to Arsenal at Villa Park on February the 18th of this year. And also Bukayo Saka is the 5th youngest player in Premier League history to reach 150 appearances, which he reaches today, being 22 years and 95 days old. I'll see if people can guess the other 4 before I give them later on in the match. But Arsenal trying to sort of take the sting out of Aston Villa at the moment. They're trying to kill any momentum that they do have, but long balls over the top like Saliba's just played, that'll roll straight into Emi Martinez, and Villa will be happy to let them do that all evening long. Mikel Arteta, of course, not on the touchline today, sat in the stands with a face like thunder. At the moment, his team need to react, but after 12 minutes, it's Aston Villa 1, Everton 0.
Thank you very much, Billy. Early on, of course, in the Spanish La Liga, which game we kept our eye on, was Real Betis against Real Madrid. It finished 1-1 there. Mark Thomas was watching that game, and he is with the full-time report.
Thanks, John. Yes, a very, very entertaining game here just north of Seville. It ended 1-1, as you mentioned. Very, very compelling game to watch. Midfield battles. got the sense that the final ball was missing going through to the forward line on several occasions. Both teams played really well. Got the feeling they were cancelling each other out in the first half. We did have that disallowed goal, of course, for Brahim very, very early on after 16 minutes when he was put through. But after that, in the second half, everything opened up. It got very, very stretched. Modric had 3 efforts on goal today, a couple of long-range shots, of course, and that header, which he should have buried in the first 10 minutes. Jose and Perez went very, very close as well in the first half, both of them. It could have been goals. It was 0-0 at halftime. And as I said, second half, we finally got that breakthrough after 52 minutes. A sumptuous through ball. A little chip from the outside of his boot by Bahrain. Put Bellingham through, of course. Who else? And he managed to take the goal absolutely wonderfully, sliding the ball between the goalkeeper's legs. Real Betis came into the game a little bit more after that, John, and you sensed that a goal was going to come, and boy did it come. 67 minutes. I think the fans here will be talking about nothing else tonight. Lucas Vasquez, an absolute screamer. He cut in from the right-hand side. Sumptuous, unstoppable shot right into the top corner. Goalie didn't get anywhere near it. After that, very, very good stuff for both teams. They were going back and forth at it. Lots of substitutes being brought on and taken off, finely balanced. And both teams were jostling for supremacy with lots of attacking play. But again, the same thing. Final pass and that final through ball was missing. Toni Kroos had a shot come cross, it whizzed across the goal. Goalkeeper got his fingertips to it, and there was no one there to get the rebound in. And also Jose came close for Real Betis after a lovely flick to the outside of his left foot from Jose Perez, of course, formerly of Newcastle and Leicester City. But it was down to the last couple of minutes, and boy, did we had drama, but it was nearly incredible drama. Isco, playing against his old team for the first time ever, he came close twice in the last 6 minutes. First of all, he had a header, clear header, bounced down on the floor and up onto the upright. Goalkeeper was absolutely nowhere near it. And then in the 6th minute of overtime, his powerful header from the center of the box, tipped across the bar by Lenin, managed to get a fingertip to it, and if that would have gone in, well, what a story that would have been. A last-second goal would have given them the win, but it didn't happen, and it was all over after that. They didn't even have any time for the resulting corner. Jude Bellingham got voted the man of the match here, and it was an excellent game for both teams, very probing, very entertaining. Both teams gave it absolutely everything. I get the feeling that the Real Betis fans, John, will be the happier fans going home tonight.
Thank you very much.
Final score 1-1.
Thank you very much, Mark. Yes, it was 1-1. I can tell you what, it's drama in Germany. About 50 minutes gone. Ethan Gardner. And we got a red card. It was a possible penalty, wasn't it? And then all of a sudden, it's a red card, and for a very experienced defender as well.
Yes, it's a nightmare start for Dortmund. The yellow wall has seen red. Leipzig striker Lois Openda found himself clear through on goal, and in order to try and catch up to him, Hummels did bring the Belgian striker down. There was a check as to see whether or not it was just inside the box or outside. It was originally given as a penalty inside the box, and Hummels given a yellow because of the rule of double jeopardy. A player can't be sent off if he gives away a penalty, even though he was the last man. But because VAR changed the decision to say that the foul was just outside the box, Hummels was given his marching orders. The resulting free kick came to nothing for Leipzig, but after 15 minutes, it is Dortmund 0, Leipzig 0. Dortmund, of course, now down to 10 men.
I can tell you in the French league, we're playing in the last 2 minutes past injury time there. Rennes are losing at home to Monaco by 2-0. A couple of goals from, in fact, a goal from Van der Sar in the 51st minute, and Yusuf Fofana scored in the 85th minute. And I can tell you, we've got another goal in Serie A.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
AC Milan play hard to get, always, and now they're equalised against Atalanta into injury time of that first half. So it's now Atalanta 1, Milan 1. Of course, VAR is looking at that goal, and we'll be going to Ryan Benjamin very, very shortly on the news. It's scored by Oliver Giroud. Who else the man who scores for fun. Let's go back to Billy Andrews. It's the big game. It's Villa Arsenal. 17 minutes gone. Billy, I'm just looking at the stats here. So far, Villa had 2 shots, 1 on target. Arsenal had 3 shots and none on target. That probably tells you on its own that Villa probably have got their shoots boots on when you look at the ratio of the shots that has been had so far in the first 18 minutes or so.
Yeah, they've been a lot more clinical when they've had the chances to have a shot on goal, but Bukayo Saka came close again. It was quite a robust tackle from Kai Havertz on Kamara, but referee saw nothing wrong with it. He won the ball, it was just a bit high, but he then marauded straight through the heart of the Villa defence, played it off to Bukayo Saka when he could have had a shot himself, and it was a fantastic block from Pau Torres to stop the England winger getting a shot away. But Aston Villa are now 2.05 for a win. Arsenal now 3.50 on NairaBet. But like I said, Aston Villa have their shooting boots on. So just as we come up to the 20-minute mark, it's Aston Villa 1, Arsenal 0.
Thank you very much, Billy. We'll be going back to Billy very, very shortly. I can tell you that Rennes has scored in the 90th minute. So now Rennes 1, Monaco 2. Of course, if Rennes keep the tabs on that game, they'll go second, 3 points behind PSG. Monaco are playing with 10 men in that game. So it's all for Rennes to try and get at least a draw out of this. Now it's half-time in Syria. It's 1-0 between Atalanta and Milan. Here's Ryan Benjamin on both the goal report and the half-time report.
Yeah, half-time here, 1-1. Olivier Giroud, the veteran striker, the 37-year-old with his 9th goal of the season, Milan's top scorer, coming to them when they need it the most. Seconds before half-time with a classic header from a corner, arching back, nods it into the far left corner. Musso got his fingertips to it in the Atalanta goal, but couldn't keep it out. Earlier on the 38th minute, Ademola Lookman opened the scoring for the home side with a deflected effort, which loops over Mike Mannion in the Milan goal. A good half really for Atalanta. They created a few good chances and kept Milan at bay, but right at the death, it's Olivier Giroud scoring a classic Giroud goal to make it 1-1 here going into half-time.
Thank you very much, Ryan. We'll be back for the remainder of this second half as it happens. Let's go to Germany. Borussia Dortmund playing now with 10 men after about 20 minutes gone. Ethan Gardner, and you can't help but putting RB Leipzig as favourites to win this game now, haven't you?
Oh, well, you've got to have Leipzig as favourites, and they've had their first proper shot on target of the game as well. Right centre-back Mohamed Simakan firing a low-driven, powerful shot that was just tipped wide by Dortmund goalkeeper Gregor Kobel. Dortmund have also made a substitution in order to try and shore things up. Centre-back Niklas Süle coming on, the former Bayern man, replacing young English winger Jamie Bino-Gittins, who had quite an exciting start to the game for Dortmund. So clearly they're going to go more defensive and just try and hold on to any result they can get here. But of course, Leipzig definitely now the favourites. And after 20 minutes here, it is Dortmund 0, Leipzig 0.
21 minutes gone at Villa Park. It's still Aston Villa 1, Arsenal 0 with that John McGinn's goal. Billy Andrews, what's the update on, shall we say, Arsenal progress, maybe, if there is any?
Well, Villa have had a nice long spell on the ball. They won it back from an Arsenal free kick. It was taken quickly by William Saliba into the feet of Gabriel Jesus, but Diego Carlos was there to take it from off the end of his feet. They're just coming forward again now. Ollie Watkins is at the moment fighting a losing battle trying to hold the ball up against William Saliba, but they have just won a free kick, Kai Havertz foul on Yuri Tielemans. So once this is taken, I'll come back to you with an update. But Arsenal now 3.60 for the win. Aston Villa still 2.05.
I can tell you in the African Champions League, Nodibo are still 0-0 against Mazambi with 93 minutes gone. In the Confederation Cup, they're playing in injury time as well. Al Zamalek of Egypt are beating Sagrado Esperança by a goal to nil. Sagrado Esperança from Angola. And I can tell you in French Ligue 1, It's 5 minutes of injury time. Still Rennes 1, Monaco 2. They've got 1 minute left of that injury time. Just had a chance from Douglas Ruiz. And we'll be going to Billy Andrews very, very shortly. And Borussia Dortmund still 0-0 against Leipzig. Like I mentioned, they're playing with 10 men. And Atalanta is half-time 1-0 against AC Milan. Now, early on, just in case you missed out all the drama and all the results from the English Premier League, Crystal Palace lost at home by 2-1 to Liverpool. Brighton drew with Burnley by a goal each. Sheffield United had a great 3 important points against Brentford, winning by a goal to nil. Wolves and Nottingham Forest, they shared the points, 1 each. And probably the biggest game of the day so far is Manchester United losing to Bournemouth by 3-0. And that's a big game. Of course, the other big game that we heard earlier is Bayern Munich. They've lost by 5-1. I'm going to bring Billy Andrews here quickly as he is a Bundesliga expert and probably the biggest expert in the world, Billy Andrews. I'll give you that. It's a shocking result, wasn't it, for Bayern Munich earlier?
Yeah, it's a shock result, given that Frankfurt hadn't won any of their previous 4 matches before this game. And it's the first time that Harry Kane's lost as a starter for Bayern Munich. Of course, he did come on in that cup defeat to Saarbrücken. But the manner in which the goals came about for Frankfurt, I think, will be the not concerning thing for Thomas Tuchel, because, we know what Bayern are like. They'll probably go and beat Manchester United 5-1 on Wednesday night in the Champions League. They're very capable of it, but Frankfurt aren't enjoying a very good season. For this result, it's a massive shock, and it sort of shines a bit of a light on the not weaknesses in the squad, but particularly the lightness maybe in certain positions, like Noussair Mazraoui at right back, for example.
Thank you very much, Billy. And just to give you the latest update, it's still Aston Villa 1, Arsenal 0. Half-time at Serie A, Atalanta 1, Milan 1, and 24 minutes gone. It's Borussia Dortmund 0, RB Leipzig 0. Of course, Borussia Dortmund have got a player sent off, Matt Hummels, getting sent off straight red for the German defender. You are listening to Football Live.
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM.
If you're betting on sports this week, why not make your money go further? Sign up to NairaBet for 11 days of risk-free betting. If your bet loses, you will get your stake back as a free bet up to 2,000 Naira. All you need to do is register a new account with NairaBet today and qualify to get up to 22,000 Naira in free bets. Visit www.nairabet.com/bonus for more information. General and free bet terms apply. Must be over 18. Must be KYC approved. Must place a qualifying bet. Bets must include football, tennis or basketball markets. Please gamble responsibly.
Follow us on Twitter at FootBLive. The goals, the team news, all the updates, all the key action, scores from around Europe's top leagues, exclusive interviews, breaking news.
4 hours of football every Saturday and Sunday on Brila FM with Football Live.
Football Live returns to Brila FM tomorrow afternoon. The show starts at 3 o'clock and you can follow the fortunes of Chelsea as they head to Goodison Park to take on Everton.
They're brilliant because they're less boring.
Manchester City are also in action. They face a trip to Bedfordshire to take on Luton Town at Kenilworth Road.
But football is like that sometimes.
There's a big match at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's Tottenham Hotspur against Newcastle United.
You love that, you relish that.
And 2 London derbies for you in the Premier League. Fulham against West Ham United, and in the WSL, the girls go face to face. Yes, it's Arsenal against Chelsea. And we'll have all of these matches covered right here on Brila FM tomorrow afternoon on Football Live.
Around the grounds, chasing the goals.
A goal that is going to blow open the title race in the Bundesliga.
Well, this wasn't supposed to happen. it's been an unbelievable day here on Football Live.
4 hours of football every Saturday and Sunday on Brila FM with Football Live.
Let's get back to the action on Football Live. Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with John Kane.
Yes, welcome back. Just to give you the latest, the games are concentrating and some of the other games in Europe. The big game here between Villa and Arsenal, John McGinn's goal is the difference at the moment after 28 minutes. It's Aston Villa 1, Arsenal 0. In the Spanish La Liga, 28 minutes gone there as well. It's Villarreal 0, Real Sociedad 0. In Serie A, half-time, it's Atalanta 1, AC Milan 1. And in the German Bundesliga, it's Borussia Dortmund 0, RB Leipzig 0, and Borussia Dortmund are playing with 10 men. I don't think it's probably the best time to go to Andrew Bonacori for the latest odds from NairaBet. So all the prices are subject to change.
Here's Andrew Buonacore with all the very latest odds from NairaBet.
Thank you, John. It's always a great time to come to me. How dare you? Looking at the Atalanta-Milan game, which is at half-time. Atalanta 3.60 to win the game. Milan 2.80 to win. 2.50 the draw. So if it stays as it is, 2.50 is what you would get. The Premier League game, Aston Villa 2.05 to win the game outright. Arsenal 3.60 to win the game and 3.60 also the draw. For scorers in that game, if you think Ollie Watkins of Aston Villa will score, you get 6.00 there. Bukayo Saka is 7.50, and Kai Havertz, who's in decent form in terms of goal scoring, starting to find his goal scoring boots, you can get 9.00 on him. That Bundesliga game, we have Dortmund long odds at 8.50 to win the game. RB Leipzig ever decreasing at 1.36 as they pile on the pressure. The draw there is 5.25. Imagine the rear guard action that Dortmund would have to deliver in order to get the draw there. But 5.25, if that's what you think will happen. All prices courtesy of NairaBet, and of course, all prices are subject to change.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Let's go straight to Villa Park because we've got our first booking of the day, Billy Andrews.
Yeah, and it's come for Arsenal, and Alexander Zinchenko booked for a lazy foul on Yuri Tielemans. He gets turned by the Belgian, who isn't blessed with a load of pace, Yuri Tielemans, but he got the better of Zinchenko. Zinchenko pulled his shirt back, and the referee brandished the first yellow card of the evening. A little bit of an injury worry for Aston Villa as Leon Bailey started limping. He doesn't look great, I'll be honest. He looks a bit... He's walking around a bit tentatively, staying wide, not cutting in very much. But his former Leverkusen teammate Moussa Diaby is on the bench for Villa. If he can't continue, it will be a massive loss to lose Leon Bailey in the form of his Aston Villa career at the moment. But as we approach the half-hour mark, it's still Aston Villa 1, Arsenal 0.
I mean, it's too early for Villa, for Mikel Arteta to panic. But, I mean, I just say before the game and before you joined us that Mikel Arteta serving a match ban, isn't he? You always want your manager to be with you, don't you? You want your manager to be on the touchline. And that third booking that he had against Luton, obviously, it might cost them 3 points today, wouldn't it?
Potentially, yeah. You'd like to hear him. He's normally quite animated on the touchline, which they'll miss that. Even if they don't think they will, the Arsenal players, they will miss it. I think if you look at the subs bench for Arsenal, they have got some game changers on the bench. Eddie Nketiah is capable of it. Leandro Trossard. We've seen Reece Nelson, what he can do in that fantastic last-minute winner against Bournemouth last season. So they have got some game changes if it gets to it. But, there's an hour left of this game. And to be honest, Aston Villa are looking more and more comfortable the more and more time passes in this game, as Emi Martinez just gets a word in his ear from the referee about his time wasted. But still 1-0 at Villa Park.
And we have our first goal in Germany.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
I don't think I'm as a surprise when I say that it's RB Leipzig has scored the first goal after 31 minutes. It's Borussia Dortmund 0, RB Leipzig 1. Don't get surprised if you hear that result or that scoreline so far, because as we mentioned earlier, in case you missed it, it's Borussia Dortmund playing with 10 men. They are playing at home, but they're playing with 10 men, and they're really missing a chance. It was a big chance for Borussia Dortmund today to try to get take the advantage, basically, of Bayern Munich losing early on today by 5-1 to Eintracht Frankfurt, Ethan Gardner. And that goal is going to be absolutely crucial for RB Leipzig, wasn't it?
It is. They were already ahead of Dortmund going into today in 4th place. They'll be trying to push themselves up the table with this win. They're dominating the match so far, and it was a delightfully whipped-in corner from young attacking midfielder Xavi Simons, and it fell and onto the head of Mohamed Simakan. Now, he's just about flicked it on, and it's come off of a Dortmund defender. I think it's been actually given as an own goal against left-back Rami Bensebaini, as if today couldn't get any worse for Dortmund. The yellow wall was bouncing in the home end, trying to inspire some tough rearguard action, but it hasn't quite worked out. And after 32 minutes, the first goal of the game has finally gone in. It is Dortmund 0, Leipzig 1.
I mean, when you look at the league table and look at the performances of all the teams in the Bundesliga this season, I mean, I know Harry Kane, a big name, isn't he, for Bayern Munich, and his big name in the world of football. But it's actually Bayer Leverkusen, haven't they, who sitting there watching happily, seeing Bayern Munich, Dortmund losing, and probably, for me, they're probably going to be the favourites, aren't they? Xavi Alonso's men are doing a great job so far.
They are indeed. I'm not sure it's a title they'd quite want yet to be favourites for the title, but they just had a quiet summer, really, allowing Dortmund and Leipzig to weaken themselves, selling some big names. Bayern, of course, did bring in Kane, but they're still trying to get used to Thomas Tuchel in charge, and Leverkusen have quietly gone about their business and done incredibly well so far this season. You've also got to say as well, the surprise of Stuttgart being up in 3rd is not to be underestimated as well. But Leverkusen, yes, for sure, they'll be looking to try and win this Bundesliga title. They might not have a better chance.
Thank you very much. I can tell you in the Italian Serie A, the second half has kicked off. It's 1-1 there between Atalanta and Milan. But we're going to go to Villa Park. 10 minutes to go till half-time. Billy Andrews, we've seen chances at both ends in the last few minutes.
Yeah, we have the first one came for Arsenal, and it was Ollie Watkins that lost the ball to Martin Ødegaard, and he found Bukayo Saka. Just a little shimmy onto his left foot to get some space behind Pau Torres, and his shot was curled into the arms of Emi Martinez. And then straight after that, a long ball from the back towards Ollie Watkins. One touch to get it out of his feet, and he fired it low, but David Raya was there. Arsenal have just woken up in the last few moments since I told you that Villa were very comfortable, but a couple free kicks given away cheaply by Arsenal, and Saka's got to be careful for blocking off a quick free kick from being taken. No yellow card for him this time, but 35 minutes gone and Arsenal started to grow back into it, but they're still 1-0 down.
I mean, we can't take anything away from Aston Villa, can we? I mean, this season they've been absolutely brilliant. They're 3rd in the league, and they're there on credit and merit, shall I say. What a boost that would be for Unai Emery, not only just to get the 3 points against Arsenal, but it's against his old club as well. It's more or less trying to prove a point, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It'll be a big thing for Unai Emery. It's, as much as he might try and play it down that it's against Arsenal, but you know, he's clearly a very talented manager. He showed that with Sevilla and Villarreal in his time in Spain, and it didn't work out at Arsenal. But similar to the Manchester United position, I think any manager at Arsenal at that period of time would have struggled and would have been in the same position as Unai Emery. We're clearly seeing the benefits of his management with this Aston Villa team, who could very well go very far in Europe this season as well.
I mean, when it comes to Unai Emery, he's a very experienced and he's showing his talents, isn't he, as a manager in Europe. Yes, he done very well at Sevilla, he done very well at Villarreal, but I think coming back to English football, would you consider the risk by Villa, considering that he failed at Arsenal in a way?
Very possibly. I'm not 100% sure it's a massive risk given his qualities as a manager, but it's one worth taking. You see what he's got out of this Villa team, and just before you came back to me just then, Arsenal had a fantastic chance. The ball was played into Kai Havertz. Emi Martinez rushed out to try and sweep it clear, but Havertz got there first and chipped it over the top of him. But Diego Carlos was there to hook it away. It was about 2 foot away from the line, so it wasn't a goal line clearance, but it's a clear sight of goal for Arsenal, possibly the clearest they've had. Would have been a tight for an offside one, but I'm going to say they're building up from the back, Aston Villa, which is causing Arsenal some problems with their press, because they press forward to try and win the ball back, leave a lot of space in behind, and that gives Ollie Watkins and well, he's started to run a bit quicker now, Leon Bailey, but it gives those two a lot of space in behind to run at the Arsenal defence and goalkeeper.
Thank you very much, Billy. I can tell you in La Liga, Villarreal have just conceded a goal. Real Sociedad are leading now after 38 minutes by a goal to nil through Mikel Merino. Still 1-0 between Atalanta and Milan, and as we just heard a few moments ago, Borussia Dortmund are losing to RB Leipzig by a goal to nil. Let's just give you some of the results from early on today. We spoke about the Premier League, the Championship. There's been some interesting results. Blackburn lost at home to Leeds by 2-0. Sunderland have beaten West Brom by 2-1. Cardiff beaten Millwall by 1-0. It was 1-1 between Huddersfield Town and Bristol City. Leicester, who are firm favourites to go up again back to the Premier League, have beaten Plymouth by 4-0. Middlesbrough lost at home to Ipswich by 2-0. 0-0 between Norwich and Preston, and QPR beat Hull by 2-0. Rotherham lost at home to Swansea by 2-1. Stoke lost at home to Sheffield Wednesday by a goal, and Watford grabbed a late equaliser against Southampton. It finished 1-0 there. In French League 1, finished Rennes 1, Monaco 2. That takes Monaco 3 points away from the leaders PSG, who are playing later on at 9 o'clock against Nantes. In the German Bundesliga, as we heard, and it's probably one of the shocking results of the day besides the Man United game, it's Eintracht Frankfurt 5, Bayern Munich 1, Heidenheim 3, Darmstadt 2, Union Berlin 3, Borussia Mönchengladbach 1, Werder Bremen 2, Augsburg 0, Wolfsburg 0, Freiburg 1, and as you just heard a few moments ago, Dortmund 0, RB Leipzig 1. In Italian Serie A, it finished early on. Verona 1, Lazio 1. It's quite a controversial game. Lazio scored a second, which was disallowed, and shortly after Verona had a player sent off, but it still finished 1-0. The game happening at the moment is Atalanta with AC Milan. We've got Ryan Benjamin now. We'll be going to him very, very shortly on the news and the early encounters of the second half of that game. And later on at 8:45, Inter will play Udinese. I can tell you also, in the Dutch Eredivisie, it's Ajax are leading Sparta Rotterdam by 1-0. So keep an eye on that game as well. Early on in the Nigerian MPFL, Doma United have beaten Kano Pillars by 1-0. I can tell you, Real Sociedad just scored a second. 2 goals in 2 minutes. Now it's Villarreal 0, Real Sociedad 2. But let's go to Billy Andrews. 5 minutes to go till half-time, Billy, and another chance for Arsenal.
Oh, Arsenal, look at what you could have had in goal. It's a fantastic save from Emi Martinez. Kai Havertz has got the ball on that left-hand side. He cuts it into the box. A lovely ping pass into Gabriel Jesus. One cushion touch back from Jesus to his captain, Ødegaard. Ødegaard takes 2 touches to leave Pau Torres and Douglas Luiz absolutely hopeless, and he can only go for that bottom left-hand corner. And who's there? It's Emi Martinez. And Aston Villa have just had another chance just before you came to me. The ball was played in, lost cheaply again by Arsenal. Gabriel Jesus trying to feign a foul, but it's played in by Douglas Luiz to Ollie Watkins. He's just maybe offside, but he takes first-time shot saved by David Raya fantastically with his left leg and then cleared by Gabriel. It's starting to spice up a little bit here. Let's say that Arsenal starting to have more and more clear chances, and Kai Havertz looking more and more instrumental every time he touches the ball. But still, with 5 minutes to go plus injury time in the first half, it's Aston Villa 1, Arsenal 0.
In Serie A, it's still Atalanta 1, AC Milan 1. Ryan Benjamin, 52 minutes gone. Has there been any changes at half time?
I believe it's as you were at half time. Atalanta looking dangerous. They've had a couple of half chances, shots from outside the box, one which led to a corner from Pasalic and another one which has deflected over. Milan have had around 65% of the ball, but again, it's Atalanta really who look dangerous. It's 1-1 at the moment, and it really could go either way. There's only 9 points between these two sides, so a win for Atalanta could be huge, even though they're down in 8th. It could really concertina the division if they can make the most of these chances that they're creating. There's 52 minutes gone. It's 1-1.
I can tell you, like I did mention earlier, that in the Dutch Eredivisie, Ajax are leading Sparta by a goal to nil. It was scored by Brian Brobby in the 8th minute. Ajax Amsterdam, one of the big names in the world of football. You could not deny that. But this season, they've not even been second best, haven't they? They've been probably 4th or 5th best in that division. And I think since Erik ten Hag left Ajax for Manchester United, didn't go well for Ajax, and as well, it's not going well for Manchester United. Let's bring on Billy Andrews. Billy, you're watching the Villa Arsenal game, but we're speaking about the influence that Erik ten Hag, as a Man United fan, on Ajax, and it hasn't brought. It doesn't seem like he brought that influence properly to Man United, hasn't he? And yes, he was manager of the month, but today 3-0 at home to Bournemouth is a shocking result, isn't it?
It is a shocking result. The first time Bournemouth have ever won at Old Trafford, and the last time Erik ten Hag won Manager of the Month, the following game they were battered 7-0 at Anfield by Liverpool, who they have next weekend in the Premier League. So that's another worry for Manchester United fans. But it's the individual errors that are causing this, and the lack of work rate you see from some players. Anthony Martial walks when he should run. He's got very little idea of what to do and where to be. You know, Rasmus Højlund came on and looked, lively, certainly offered more than Anthony Martial. And some of these players have been through 3, nearly 4 managers. If they get Erik ten Hag the sack, they'll do exactly the same to the next manager and possibly the manager after that. So something needs to change, whether it's the players, whether it's, again, another managerial change. We'll have to wait and see. But I believe there's been a goal in Italy.
Yeah, indeed, and it's a goal for Atalanta.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
55 minutes gone. It's Atalanta 2, AC Milan 1, and of course, always hold your breath when you get a goal in the top flights, because always VAR are looking for something, and betting is suspended. I can tell you, VAR are looking at it, and it's Nigerian Ademola Lookman who scored the second. That's 2 in this game for the Nigerian. Great player. In fact, the goal has been given, so now it is confirmed. Atalanta 2, AC Milan 1. 2 players who scored for both teams, both played for in the Premier League. Ademola Lookman played for Leicester City. AC Milan goal scorer Olivier Giroud played, of course, for Arsenal, who are losing at the moment. We are playing in injury time at Villa Park. Only 2 minutes. I'm just going to go back quickly for Billy Andrews. Billy, we've got about a minute and a half till half time here. You did say that Mikel Arteta has got game changers in that sub bench, but at the end of the day, it's still losing to. You're not losing to any club, are you? You're losing to a club who's doing very, very well at the moment. It's always going to be very hard trying to change things.
Exactly, and Arsenal, look, they're going to have aspirations of the league, having come so close last season, but Villa are a different beast this season. There's just been a massive miscommunication between Saliba and David Raya, got their angles all wrong, and they've given Villa a very cheap corner. We'll see what happens from that. But at the moment, there's no shame in losing to an Aston Villa. This isn't like the Villa that went down the last time they were relegated. This is a very well-drilled, well-organised team that scored some fantastic goals. They battered Man City on Wednesday night. I think you talk to any Man City fan, they'll find it very hard to argue with that. So, this is possibly, we talk about teams breaking into the traditional Big Six. This could possibly be another one. Aston Villa could very well be in the Champions League next season.
No, absolutely. I mean, there's an interesting stat came out from that game between Villa and Man City, Billy Andrews. Apparently, it was the first game and the only game that Pep Guardiola's team, from his management days, if it was with Barcelona and Bayern Munich, that they only had 2 shots on target. It never happened under his management ever before.
And I believe both those shots happened before the 11th minute as well. So Villa contained them, they restricted them, they almost suffocated the service for Erling Haaland, because we can see what he can do under different circumstances with fantastic service. someone like Kevin De Bruyne maybe could have found a little pocket of space, but they haven't got him. They've got to work with the players they have. And to give Aston Villa and Unai Emery their flowers, they managed that game fantastically.
Thank you very much, Billy. We're coming to halftime. We go to Billy Andrews for halftime report. But let's go to Italy. Atalanta 2, Milan 1, Ryan Benjamin. We are used to Atalanta scoring goals for fun every day in the last few seasons, regardless of where they end up in Serie A on the table-wise. But they just love scoring, don't they?
Yeah, they're a dangerous side. It's the front two, Ademola Lookman and Charles De Ketelaere, who linked up today. Lookman's been finding all these kinds of little pockets of space outside the box. That's how he scored his first goal. This time, it was De Ketelaere who went out wide, and Lookman went right into the 6-yard box and gets pretty much a tap-in from, say, the edge of the 6-yard box. It's his second goal. I think Atlanta are a good value for it. They create some really good chances, and Lookman has looked really dangerous. Now he's on a hat-trick. And, well, if they can get another goal here, I think it could be, an uphill battle for Milan, who haven't really offered that much, I have to say. But 57 minutes gone, it's Atalanta 2, AC Milan 1.
I can tell you in the Spanish La Liga, we're playing in the 49th minute of the match, and in a matter of 7 minutes, Real Sociedad scored 3 goals away to Villarreal. Now it's Villarreal 0, Real Sociedad 3. Marino in the 38th minute, then Zubimendi in the 41st minute, and then Kubo in 4th minute of injury time. It's half time in the Premier League. Let's go for a half time report from Billy Andrews.
Yeah, Aston Villa 1, Arsenal 0 at half-time. It was a rapid start to this game by the hosts at Villa Park, with John McGinn putting them 1-0 up after just 7 minutes. The ball, lovely work from Leon Bailey, got the better of Alexander Zinchenko, pulled it back to John McGinn, who was unmarked on the penalty spot, took one touch to turn and fired it past David Raya before he could even move. But since then, Aston Villa have been restricted to knocking it long for Ollie Watkins, where it's Arsenal grown into the game, particularly with Kai Havertz pulling some strings out on that left-hand side. But 2 clear chances fell to Bukayo Saka and Martin Ødegaard, but both saved fantastically well by the former Arsenal goalkeeper, Emi Martinez. Arsenal have their own goalkeeping woes. They could have had a World Cup winning goalkeeper in between the sticks this evening, but of course he's now playing for Aston Villa. There are some game changes on the bench for Arsenal, but Mikel Arteta slightly happier at the end of the half than he would have been at the start of the half, but still at half-time at Villa Park, it's Aston Villa 1, Arsenal 0.
You mentioned some players who can come and change the game. Give us one who can literally change the game for them today.
Well, if they wanted to, they've got Leandro Trossard or Eddie Nketiah, but I did mention him earlier, Reece Nelson. They needed that win against Bournemouth last season, that fantastic 4-3 win that they got. And why can't he do it again? He's a very talented young player, Reece Nelson, so if he gets a chance, he could create something, but they need to keep finding Martin Ødegaard and try to work Declan Rice into the game more. It's been very, very quiet, has the match winner from Wednesday.
Thank you very much, Billy Andrews. We come back to you in the second half. I can tell you it's been a goal in Germany.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
It was 5 minutes of injury time, and in the 5th minute of injury time, Niklas Süle has scored for Dortmund. Now it's Dortmund 1, RB Leipzig 1. We'll be going to Ethan Gardner very shortly on the news of that goal, which probably would be half-time. In fact, it is half-time, so it's the last kick off the first half, and Borussia Dortmund managed to bring it level here. So Borussia Dortmund 1, RB Leipzig 1 at half-time. As we just heard in the big game, Villa 1, Arsenal 0. In La Liga, it's Villarreal 0, Real Sociedad 3. 62 minutes gone in Serie A, it's Atalanta 2, AC Milan 1. 10 minutes to go till half-time. In the Dutch Eredivisie, it's Ajax 1, Sparta Rotterdam 0. In the Portuguese Premier League, Guimarães are playing against Sporting Lisbon. It's still 0-0 there after 20 minutes. In the Saudi Pro League, 22 minutes gone, Al Wahda 1, Al Ukhdud 0. But let's go and hear about that goal for Borussia Dortmund and the half-time report from Ethan Gardner.
Well, Dortmund had started to work their way back into the game, working a couple of chances and getting corner after corner, and finally one pays off. The ball whipped into the box to the far post, where awaiting Niklas Süle volleys wonderfully into the bottom left-hand corner. The substitute equalising for Dortmund. They've held on well, having been 1-0 down for most of the half, following their red card to Mats Hummels. Leipzig will be disappointed that they don't still hold the lead. It's a sucker punch. As you said, it was the last kick of the half that has brought Dortmund level, following the Rami Bensebaini own goal for Leipzig. And at half-time, it is now Dortmund 1, Leipzig 1.
Thank you very much, Ethan. Let's go quickly to Ryan Benjamin. He's watching the Atalanta AC Milan. It's 2-1 to Atalanta. Ryan, 63 minutes gone. You've got half an hour for Milan to turn it around. Do they look like they're able to do so at the moment?
Not really, to be honest. They've had a lot of possession, but they've had that all game. They've had around 66, 67% of the ball. They've taken off Nigerian international Samuel Chukwueze. Couldn't really get himself into the game, but they're still passing and playing in front of Atalanta. And Atalanta have really had a lot of kind of dangerous moments. Lookman in particular, they still haven't really been able to get hold of him. So I wouldn't put money yet on Milan coming back from this. Atalanta still look pretty in control here. 2-1 up with 63 minutes gone here in Atalanta.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Just quickly give you what happened earlier in the Premier League before we go back to FJ and the team. Early on, Palace lost at home to Liverpool by 2-1. Brighton 1-0 with Burnley. Manchester United lost 3-0 at home to Bournemouth. I'm sure FJ will be laughing his head off again. Sheffield United 1, Brentford 0, Wolves 1, Nottingham Forest 1. At half-time here now is Aston Villa 1, Arsenal 0. And this is the best time to hand you over to FJ and the team in Nigeria to get all the news of all the Nigerian players around the globe and go through your comments, calls and interactions, social media. And we'll be back here very shortly. Good afternoon, or in fact, good evening once again, FJ.
Powered by NairoBet. This is Football Live with John Kane.
Yes, welcome back, everyone. The second half just kicked off at Villa Park. In fact, 3 minutes is gone. It's Aston Villa 1, Arsenal 0. Let's go straight to Billy Andrews, because he has got a change for us there for Aston Villa. And there was a possible penalty for Arsenal as well.
Yeah, I would just talk through the penalty first. It was Douglas Luiz on Gabriel Jesus. They both went for the ball. It was up in the air. They both went to kick it away, and Gabriel Jesus got there first and made contact with the ball, and then Douglas Luiz caught his leg. He went down. Referee had a brief word with the VAR, but it's not a penalty at all. It was no need for Jesus to go down the way that he did. And the change, it had been coming. It was Leon Bailey went off. He was limping in that first half. He probably wasn't right at the half-time break-in. He's been replaced by his former Bayer Leverkusen teammate Moussa Diaby. He's recently come back from an injury of his own. But Arsenal made a very quick start to this second half. And they've had a couple sort of half chances. Emi Martinez made a good save to begin with already, closing down Gabriel Jesus. But 49 minutes gone, still 1-0 to the hosts.
Thank you very much, Billy. Yes, we got about another 40 minutes or so plus injury time. So it's plenty of time for Arsenal to come back into the game. Of course, if Arsenal lose this game, they will stay second behind Liverpool, who beat Crystal Palace early on by 2-1. That was at Selhurst Park, and they'll stay with 36 points. Villa, they'll actually get to 1 point off Arsenal. They stay in third, but they go 5 points clear of Manchester City. FJ, I've got the answer for you. Trust me, I've got a brilliant producer working today, as usual. And I can tell you, it was back in 2019 when they lost 5-1, and it was against Eintracht Frankfurt again. Well, if it's wrong, please let me know, but I'm sure that's the result. And if it's wrong, blame Andrew Bonacore. He's the one who searched it for me, but I'm sure it's absolutely right. Right, let's go and see what's happening at... in fact, before we go, there has been a fourth goal in Serie A.
The
Goals, powered by NairaBet.
I always said never underestimate this Milan team. Now is Atalanta 2, Milan 2 with 10 minutes to go. Milan got a big chance to try and turn it around away to Atalanta. It's also kicked off in the Bundesliga in the second half between Borussia Dortmund and RB Leipzig. Ethan Gardner, has there been any changes at half-time between the two teams?
There have not. I would imagine that Dortmund are happy enough to see out the rest of the game as it is, because their side were growing into the match late on in the first half, as evidenced by Süle's late goal. Leipzig, of course, will look to reassert their authority, but there hasn't been much action so far at the beginning of this second half. Emre Can was down just now. He took a rather unfortunate volley down below where it hit, but he's back up. Dortmund are going to carry on with the game, and it is after 46 minutes. Dortmund 1, Leipzig 1.
I can tell you the goal scorer for Milan, the second goal, in fact, is Luka Jovic, and the goal does stand. So Atalanta 2, AC Milan 2, and we'll be going to Ryan Benjamin very, very shortly on the news of that goal. In the Dutch Eredivisie, it's half-time there. Ajax 2, Sparta Rotterdam 0. Just 2 minutes before half-time, Steven Bergwijn, the ex-Tottenham player, he scored from the penalty spot to put them 2-0 up. It's quite, we're talking about Ajax Amsterdam's season. I mean, even with this win today, it keeps them at 5th place with 6 points behind 4th place AZ Alkmaar, who yet to play this round, or this weekend in fact. And it is PSV who are running away with it with 45 points, 10 points ahead of Feyenoord. So it's definitely not going to be Ajax season, but it looks like it might be a team who needs to build on what Erik ten Hag has left before. 9 minutes to go, like we said, between Atalanta and AC Milan. Let's go to Ryan Benjamin on the news of that Luka Jovic goal for AC Milan.
Yeah, 2-2 now. The substitute, Luka Jovic, from 6 yards out, taps it in. Some brilliant work on the left from Christian Pulisic. He doesn't do much to beat his man. He just shifts the ball and fizzes in across the ground. Olivier Giroud left the ball. Davide Calabria leaves the ball. It goes straight to Jovic, who's standing pretty much on his own from 6 yards, and he taps it in to make it 2-2. Atalanta will be kicking themselves. It was a poor goal, but also 5 minutes before, they had a great opportunity to make it 3-1 and were denied twice by Mike Mannion. So they will be absolutely kicking themselves. They haven't put this game to bed. It's 2-2. With 80 minutes gone, and anything could happen here.
Let's go back to Villa Park. It's 1-0 still Villa. Billy Andrews, but it's the yellow card for one of the home side players.
Yeah, it's a 5th booking of the season for Luca Digne, which does mean he will miss next weekend's game against Brentford. He got booked for fouling Bukayo Saka. Saka did fantastically well to get the ball out of his feet and spin the former Barcelona and Everton man. And Luca Digne had hold of his hips like he was trying to do the conga with Bukayo Saka. It's about 2 foot away from the penalty box on the right-hand side, sort of like a very close corner. Saka's going to whip it in with his left foot, but I will come back to you when this free kick's been taken. But Arsenal very much on top in the opening 8 or so minutes, but they still trail by 1-0.
I'm looking at the table, Billy, and Villa, if they win this game, they're third. They're 5 points above Manchester City, who are 4th, who'll play tomorrow, of course. I mean, from my point of view, and I don't know what views are like, regardless where Manchester City are and how far behind they are, which at the moment they're 7 points behind Liverpool, you can't rule out Manchester City, and they'll probably still be favourites to win the Premier League comes May, isn't it?
100%. Well, what was it last season? They went on it was an 18-game unbeaten streak after they were supposedly struggling to beat Arsenal in the Premier League title race. Just incidentally, that free kick from Bukayo Saka was absolutely dreadful. Tried to play it short to Martin Odegaard, who's been man-marked by Ezri Konsa. Konsa got there first, cleared the ball and just hoofed it up into the Arsenal half. So a complete waste of that free kick from Bukayo Saka. Mikel Arteta probably pulling his hair out in the stands. But Man City, can't rule them out. Liverpool, can't rule them out either. Villa, at the moment, I must say, causing a lot of problems for themselves, almost giving away another chance there, but Emi Martinez once again to the rescue. And Liverpool, Man City, possibly Arsenal, Aston Villa, if they get an injury to one of their important players, possibly Emi Martinez. It could all depart for them like we've seen with Spurs in recent weeks. So a lot of exciting teams in this Premier League this season. I think it's going to be the most exciting one we've had for a while.
It sure looks like it, doesn't it, Billy? Thank you very much. I can tell you in the Portuguese Premier League, Sporting just taking the lead away to Guimarães by 1-0, scored by Goncalo Inácio. So they're leading away by 1-0. In the Saudi Pro League, 44 minutes gone, still Al Wahda 1, Al Khdood 0. And still 1-1 in Germany. 52 minutes gone between Borussia Dortmund and RB Leipzig. Let's go to Ethan Gardner. Let's see if Borussia Dortmund are still happy on getting a point at home for RB Leipzig.
Well, judging by what's going on at the moment in this match, I'd say they'd definitely be the happier of the two teams. They're holding on defensively, and Leipzig not really creating much. There was a shot from Luis Openda, saved well by Kerbal not too long ago, but not too many clear-cut chances worked by the away side, and Dortmund actually playing some lovely attacking football when they counter at the moment. So I'm sure they will take this result, but they do also have a sniff of a second perhaps in this second half. They've not got many names to look to on the bench, although Karim Adeyemi, of course, the German striker of Nigerian descent, could come on. He's got some tricky pace to him, and that would cause issues on the counter-attack, you'd imagine. But they're happy as things stand. After 52 minutes, it remains Dortmund 1, Leipzig 1.
We did say that there was a sub for Leon Bailey when Moussa Diaby came on. There's another sub, Euro Tournaments off for Jacob Ramsey on. But before we got to Billy Andrews, I can tell you there's been a third goal in Germany.
The goals, powered by NairoBet.
With the bad start that Borussia Dortmund had, player being sent off, and it is Matt Hummels, who's one of the most experienced defenders in Europe, probably expecting the worst, and he has now. It's Borussia Dortmund 1, RB Leipzig 2. It's Baumgartner who scored for RB Leipzig. So we just came from Ethan, and I think he did say that Borussia Dortmund would be very happy to Borussia Dortmund to get at least a point, considering the circumstances, but it's not to be. Let's go straight back again to Ethan Gardner to tell us more about that goal for RB Leipzig.
Well, completely disregard everything I've just said, because as it turns out,
I have straight away, Ethan, don't worry.
No worries. But no, it was a very nice attacking run from Christoph Baumgartner. He broke through the middle all on his own and then found Xavi Simons to his left. Simons cut inside and had a nice shot. And unfortunately, Gregor Kobel has spilled it. It's been a really impressive performance so far from the Dortmund keeper, but this wasn't one of his finer moments. The ball then falls back to Baumgartner, who deserves the goal, it has to be said. And in spite of everything I had just said, it is now Dortmund 1, Leipzig 2.
We just say it's been a second sub for Aston Villa. Euro Tournament's off, and Jacob Ramsey is on Billy Andrews, but Arsenal have come very, very close, haven't they?
They've come very, very close twice. I'll tell you about the corner first. They've scored the most goals from corners in the league this season with 7, and it was absolute chaos from this corner. Emi Martinez came to claim it, but Ollie Watkins blocked him off. It came off Martinez, hit Watkins, then hit the post before being cleared by Ollie Watkins. And just now, Martin Ødegaard has missed, you would say for him, an absolute sitter. It's Kai Havertz again down that left-hand side for Arsenal. He's been fantastic today. He's miles on side, being played on by Ezri Konsa, of course not a regular right back for Aston Villa. And he plays it square across the box. It's just behind Gabriel Jesus, and it falls to Martin Ødegaard, who sticks his right leg in it and puts it wide. Maybe he thought it was going to go to Gabriel Jesus, but a player of his quality and the captain of Arsenal, he should have been expecting, or at least anticipating, that Jesus would miss it. But they're building the pressure at Villa Park, our Arsenal. Just coming up to the hour mark, it's Aston Villa 1 and still Arsenal 0.
I mean, I spoke to so many Chelsea fans a while ago, Billy, and they were always wondered where is the best position for Kai Havertz. It looks like that now with Arsenal. It took a bit of a while, but I think probably Arteta started to get the best out of him throughout all his time in England, isn't he?
He's starting to find some confidence and find some form now for Arsenal, and it's quite nice to see as someone who enjoyed watching him play for Leverkusen. Him and Ødegaard sort of operate as 2 number 8s with Declan Rice in that number 6 position, but of course Ødegaard does do a lot more tracking back than Kai Havertz. At times he's been more further forward than Gabriel Jesus, so you can sort of play a bit of everywhere, which is a bit of a weird thing to say, but at Chelsea playing him up front on his own never really worked. It was never going to work, but seeing him now play in this position that he's in with Arsenal, with Declan Rice giving him that bit more defensive stability and the support he gets from Martinelli and Ødegaard, he's causing some real problems today for Aston Villa, and dare I go out on a limb, probably be only a matter of time before he creates something of another goal scoring opportunity.
Thank you very much, Billy. We coming into injury time at Serie A. It's still Atalanta 2, AC Milan 2, 57 minutes gone in the German Bundesliga. It was Borussia Dortmund 1, RB Leipzig 2, and the Dutch Eredivisie, which just the second half just kicked off. It's still Ajax 2, Sparta Rotterdam 0, and we're playing injury time in the Portuguese Primeira Liga. It's still Guimarães 0, Sporting Lisbon 1. They've scored a second goal, literally about a minute ago, but it was disallowed. So it's still 1-0 for Sporting Lisbon. And I think probably this is the best time, with all these results happening as we speak, to go to Andrew Bonacore for the latest odds, courtesy of NairaBet.
Here's Andrew Bonacore with all the very latest odds from NairaBet.
Thank you, John. That's it. Our game between Atalanta and Milan is drawing to a close. Only seconds left, and NairaBet clearly don't think anyone will win, because Atalanta are 9.5, Milan are 10, but the draw is 1.17. In that Premier League game, Villa are 2.00 to hold on for the win. Arsenal 4.5 to claw things back and get past Villa. But the draw seems decent value at 9.00. If you think the score will stay as it is, so no more goals, you can go for under 1.5 goals at 7.00. If you think Ollie Watkins will score, he's at 6.00. Saka is at 7.5. Havertz is at 9.00. But if you think Declan Rice will score another late goal, you get 10.00 on him. Dortmund are 34.00 to get the win against RB Leipzig, who are closing in on victory with 1.11 available on them. But if you think Dortmund will get another goal to claw it back and end the game as a draw, you can get 3.25 on NairaBet. All prices, of course, are subject to change.
Thank you very much, Andrew. I can tell you, while Andrew was giving us the odd, there has been a goal for Arsenal, but it's been offside. Billy Andrews.
Yeah, it's Bukayo Saka with the goal. Aston Villa playing a very organised but very high line, and it was a ball through by Ødegaard to Bukayo Saka. Everyone knew he was offside. I think Emi Martinez expected him to be called offside straight away, but he came charging out. Lovely touch around the keeper from Bukayo Saka, and he put it into the back of an empty net, but clearly offside, about a foot offside. And he has just been fouled, Bukayo Saka, by Douglas Luiz. A bit of a nasty one on the ankle, but not much doing. There's a VAR check going on here. The referee has stopped play, but Douglas Luiz was booked for kicking the ball away. VAR check over. We will be seeing Matty Cash and Leander Dendoncker for Aston Villa in a moment. They're stripped and ready to come on, but I will update you when I know who they come on for. But Arsenal still pushing, but still 1 goal down.
Serie A, 3 minutes into injury time, 3 minutes out of 6 minutes. Milan have just got a player sent off. So Milan are playing the last 3 minutes of the game with 10 men. We'll get the news off that sending off very, very shortly. Still 2-2 between Atalanta and Milan, but it's Atalanta's chance now to try and get a winner in the dying seconds. So we'll be going to Ryan Benjamin very, very shortly. But let's go quickly to Ethan Gardner, where Dortmund, they were hanging on, weren't they, earlier? But it seems like it's going to be all for Leipzig for grabbing 3 points in the end, wouldn't it?
Yes, indeed. And tension's starting to run a little bit high here between Dortmund and Leipzig. And Dortmund just have to be careful. They're already walking a tightrope, and now they've picked up another yellow card in midfield. Salih Özcan, who was on the ball, lost it, and then threw himself flying into a tackle on Castello Luqueba, the Leipzig centre-back. He picked up a yellow for that. There was a little bit of a scuffle afterwards. Just showing the frustrations of both sides here with how things are going, because Leipzig should be further ahead, and Dortmund, well, their luck hasn't been with them. But after 60 minutes, it remains Dortmund 1, Leipzig 2.
I can tell you they're still playing in Italy. It's still Atalanta 2, Milan 2. And I can tell you there has been a goal in Italy.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
It's unbelievable scoreline is Atalanta 3, AC Milan 2, and Atalanta for the last 3 minutes of this game, they are trying to get advantage of that player being sent off at Milan. It's Atalanta 3, Milan 2, VAR looking at it, but we'll give you the final outcome of that very, very shortly. But for now, you are listening to Football Live.
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM.
If you're betting on sports this week, why not make your money go further? Sign up to NairaBet for 11 days of risk-free betting. If your bet loses, you will get your stake back as a free bet up to 2,000 Naira. All you need to do is register a new account with NairaBet today and qualify to get up to 22,000 Naira in free bets. Visit www.nairabet.com/bonus for more information. General and free bet terms apply. Must be over 18. Must be KYC approved. Must place a qualifying bet. Bets must include football, tennis or basketball markets. Please gamble responsibly.
Follow us on Twitter at FootBLive. The goals, the team news, all the updates, all the key action, scores from around Europe's top leagues, exclusive interviews, breaking news.
4 hours of football every Saturday and Sunday on Brila FM with Football Live.
Football Live returns to Brila FM tomorrow afternoon. The show starts at 3 o'clock and you can follow the fortunes of Chelsea as they head to Goodison Park to take on Everton.
They're brilliant because they're less boring.
Manchester City are also in action. They face a trip to Bedfordshire to take on Luton Town at Kenilworth Road.
But football is like that sometimes.
There's a big match at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's Tottenham Hotspur against Newcastle United.
You love that, you relish that.
And 2 London derbies for you in the Premier League. Fulham against West Ham United, and in the WSL, the girls go face to face. Yes, it's Arsenal against Chelsea. And we'll have all of these matches covered right here on Brila FM tomorrow afternoon on Football Live.
Around the grounds, chasing the goals.
A goal that is going to blow open the title race in the Bundesliga.
Well, this wasn't supposed to happen. It's been an unbelievable day here on Football Live.
4 hours of football every Saturday and Sunday on Brila FM with Football Live.
Let's get back to the action on Football Live.
Hit it, boys.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with John Kane.
Let's go straight away to Ryan Benjamin. Ryan, Atalanta scored deep into injury time, taking advantage of that Milan sending off.
3-2 to Atalanta. An outrageous back heel from Luis Muriel. Moranchuk drove into the box. He scuffs this little kind of nothing cross across. Luis Muriel drags it back from behind him and just nonchalantly back heels it past an advancing Mike Mannion to make it 3-2. Davide Calabria sent off, that buoyed Atalanta to go for it to try and get all 3 points, and it looks like they've done that with Muriel, and this brilliant finish from close range. There's seconds left now. Atalanta 3, AC Milan 2.
Was that red card justified?
Yes, it was definitely a second yellow. He'd already been booked before. Moranchuk cut inside and he was away. It was a counter-attack, and Calabria came in and fouled him, got nowhere near the ball. It's a second booking, and therefore it has to be a red.
Thank you very much, Ryan. We'll come back to you very, very shortly. Let's go back to Villa Park. 20 minutes to go. Is an Arsenal substitution, but there's also been a chance for Aston Villa, Billy Andrews.
Yeah, I'll tell you about that chance first. Arsenal just have a free kick about 20 yards from goal with Declan Rice and Ødegaard over it. But the chance came for Villa. It was on the counter-attack, actually. The ball was played over the top to Moussa Diaby. He could have played it into Ollie Watkins first time, but he chose to take a touch to control it. A couple more touches to bring it onto his left. Played it into Watkins. First time shot saved and spilt by David Raya, but cleaned up by Gabriel. And the changes, well, Cash and Dendoncker are on. Like I said, they've come on for Konsa and Kamara. Gabriel Martinelli has gone off, and Leandro Trossard, one of the potential game changers I mentioned for Arsenal, has come on. They do have this free kick, so I'll come back to you once it's been taken. But still, 20 minutes to go, time running out for Arsenal. Still 1-0 to Aston Villa.
I can tell you in the Dutch Eredivisie, Sparta Rotterdam has scored in the second half. Now they're losing to Ajax Amsterdam by 2-1, and the goal scorer is Camille Negli in the 55th minute. So Sparta Rotterdam prime time capitalise on the bad form of Ajax, and they're giving themselves a chance by getting a goal back. Tell you, it's half time in the Portuguese Primeira Liga. It's 1-0 now at half time. Guimarães scored deep into injury time from the penalty spot for Thiago Silva. So the lead at Sporting, they thought they had the ball in the back of the net, and they did, but the goal was disallowed, and then Guimarães came back and scored from the penalty spot. It's full time in Italy. Atalanta have done it, Ryan Benjamin, but what a way to do it as well.
Yeah, amazing end to what was a really good game. Muriel with a cheeky back heel to put Atalanta 3-2 up with a few minutes to go. Before then, though, it was all about Ademola Lookman scoring twice, once with a looping shot over Mike Mannion in the first half, and then again getting into the 6-yard box, almost like an old-fashioned number 9, a striker, getting in there to get his goal. Milan had little moments. They had a lot of the ball, but they didn't do enough to win the game for me. Davide Calabria was sent off close to the end as well, which definitely buoyed Atalanta, and I think they were good value for their 3-2 win here today. They go 6 points behind AC Milan. Atalanta are 7th, Milan are in 3rd, so it really concertina's Serie A and what's looking like a really exciting league season in Italy. Full time here, Atalanta 3, AC Milan 2.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Yeah, what a big game that was. What a good game to watch as well for Ryan Benjamin. It finished Atalanta 3, Milan 2. Of course, Milan were playing with 10 men when they conceded that third goal from Atalanta. It's got to Billy Andrews, because it's been a booking for Aston Villa. Now, Billy, this is the third booking for Aston Villa. They're accumulating so many bookings at the moment in this game, even if they're leading by a goal to nil. Eventually, some of them are going to get suspended for future games as well, aren't they?
Well, yeah, Luca Digne is already missing next week's game against Brentford after picking up his 5th booking for that foul on Bukayo Saka. It was the goal scorer this time, John McGinn, that was booked for a pretty hefty tackle on Martin Ødegaard, left him in a heap on the floor. I think they're just getting a little bit frustrated, Villa, because Arsenal really are pushing for this equaliser. And I think if Arsenal got an equaliser, you'd have to say that they were favourites to go on and win. I mean, Arsenal are 7.50 for the win at the moment. Villa 1.67, a draw, if you fancy that, 3.25. But Aston Villa slowly starting to gather a few more attacks. Jacob Ramsey's looked a bit lively. He's keeping Declan Rice busy in the centre of that midfield. I'll say that for the least. But just over 15 minutes to go. It's still Aston Villa 1, Arsenal 0.
I mean, we talk about all these big names, don't we, in midfield, like Declan Rice and Rodri and a few others. But hardly anyone mentioned John McGinn, because he's been absolute brilliant, hasn't he, for Aston Villa over the years? And he's the captain of the team. But he doesn't hardly get a mention, doesn't he? He's such an underrated midfielder.
He does the unsexy stuff, let's put it that way. He does the stuff that doesn't get the headlines. He's a very, very good, very underrated player, in my opinion. I think we'll see that in the Euros next year in Germany. You know, that he'll be pivotal to that Scotland team, similar to Scott McTominay, but he pops up everywhere for Aston Villa. He's now got the ball on the right wing. He popped up in midfield earlier. He was on the penalty spot for the goal. He's just had a shot into the side netting. So he's like a little terrier. He does everything. He presses like you wouldn't believe. He's got endless amounts of energy, and It's about time we started to give players like John McGinn the credit and the plaudits that they deserve. Unai Emery's just come out on his touchline to probably try and get some energy in his team. They're looking a little bit flat, and like I say, these fouls are starting to build up, and Arsenal, they are looking tight. They are looking like they're going to try and find an equaliser sooner rather than later.
You touched on the Euros in Germany next year, Billy. What is your tip for the Euros? And while you're at it, give us your tip for the AFCON. It's coming up very soon.
Well, for the AFCON, I think you can't look past. I think Nigeria have got a fantastic chance again. The likes of Victor Boniface, he's got a Player of the Month award in the Bundesliga and 4 Rookie of the Month awards in a row, scoring goals for fun. They've also got Nathan Teller as well that they can bring in, and hopefully Taiwo Awoniyi will be fit for then as well. And for the Euros, it would be difficult to overlook the likes of possibly France, maybe Italy. They are looking slightly better at the moment, but England, maybe some dark horses. I think the one that will not surprise everyone, I think Germany could be out before the end of the group stages if they carry on playing the way they are in their own home Euros.
I mean, that's the thing with Germany. Why Germany have gone downhill, even during the World Cup, they weren't really convincing at all, weren't they? I mean, obviously they've changed the manager now, but they have got quality players. But what sort of changed all that?
The German national team has been a bit of a mess since the end of Joachim Löw's tenure as the manager. He took it upon himself to temporarily end the international careers of Mats Hummels, Jerome Boateng and Thomas Müller in favour of a younger crop of players, which, let's be honest, haven't done fantastically well for Germany. You know, Toni Kroos has retired from international football to try and prolong his club career for Real Madrid, and who could blame him? You know, Real Madrid win accolades constantly. He's won the World Cup with Germany, doesn't need to win anything else. And, you know, Timo Werner's not hitting the heights. He's not playing for Leipzig at the moment. They haven't got a left back or a right back properly. They really are struggling, and I did say this game was getting a bit bitty. Declan Rice just lashed out in frustration after losing the ball, so he's been booked for Arsenal. So they are racking the bookings up in this game, and we are going to see, we are about to see Moreno, the left back for Aston Villa, to come on. He's going to come on to replace. He's going to come on to replace Luca Digne. So still 1-0, just under 13 minutes to go. Aston Villa looking to just try and kill some momentum. Alex Moreno on for Luca Digne.
Let's go to the Bundesliga. About 50 minutes to go till full time. Borussia Dortmund are losing to RB Leipzig by 2-1 at home. Of course, Dortmund are playing with 10 men, Ethan Gardner, and they are making the changes. But under the circumstances, again, probably not going to be enough for them to try to get at least a draw from a game probably they thought they're going to win before the game started.
Well, Dortmund, of course, a side known for having an incredibly strong home record. It's an imposing place to come, the Signal Iduna Park, and they have made a change, as you said. They brought on Karim Adeyemi, who has looked bright. Dortmund starting to come back into the game a little bit with his presence, but Leipzig still, in general, dominating, working more chances. And it has to be mentioned that a wonderful, delicious piece of skill from Leipzig left-back David Raum just now to embarrass Dortmund player Meunier. Meunier left with a face so red that the Dortmund fans have been getting flashbacks to the card shown to Hummels just over an hour ago. But Leipzig also making changes. It looks like they're going to hold on to this one after 74 minutes. It is Dortmund 1, Leipzig 2 still.
I can tell you in the other games that are happening at the moment is still Ajax 2, Sparta Rotterdam 1. 64 minutes gone in that game. It's half-time in the Portuguese Primeira Liga. It's 1-0 between Guimarães and Sporting Lisbon. It's still at half-time in the Saudi Pro League. Still Al-Wahda Mecca 1, Al-Akhdud 0. Of course, Al-Nasr, if you're interested, they have won yesterday. As you heard from Andrew Bonacora early on, and of course Cristiano Ronaldo was on the scoring sheet. Just looking at some of the other results, in fact, the Spanish Premier League, Spanish La Liga, I beg your pardon. 79 minutes gone. It's still Villarreal 0, Real Sociedad 3. Real Sociedad scored 3 goals in the last 5 minutes of that first half, and they're still maintaining that lead away to Villarreal. 10 minutes to go here. Aston Villa are leading Arsenal by a goal to 0 still. Let's go to Andrew Benacore. Let's go for Andrew Benacore for the latest odds for the last 10 minutes or so of the show and of that game.
Yeah, in that Aston Villa game, John, Villa decreasing odds for the win as the time goes by. They're now 1.44 for the win. Arsenal have got up to a big 12.00 in the draw. Decent value still at 3.80. And if you still think that's going to stay as it is, so under 1.5 goals, that's still 7.00. Leandro Trossard, has come on, as mentioned earlier on. If you think he'll score an equalising goal or a goal at any time, you get 6.50 on Trossard to score for the Gunners. In that game in Germany, Dortmund, really massive price, 41.00 for the win. RB Leipzig closing in on evens, which is 1.11 at the moment for RB Leipzig to close out the victory. But the draw, still decent odds if you think Dortmund can get back into the game at 10.00. Prices are current and, of course, are subject to change.
Thank you very much, Andrew Benacore. You got the latest odds, of course, all in favour of Aston Villa and in favour of RB Leipzig. And I'm sure it'll be favourable for all the teams that are winning at the moment. Let's go back again to Billy Andrews. You've heard the odds, Billy. They are in favour of Aston Villa for obvious reasons. They are leading 1-0 at home, but you could never underestimate Arsenal, even though away from home, especially when they're bringing on a player like Nketiah.
Exactly, and just as you come to me, I've just had a stat passed to me that only Liverpool have won more points in the minutes 81 onwards in the Premier League this season. Liverpool have won 11. Arsenal have picked up an extra 9 points by scoring in the 81st minute or later. So yeah, Gabriel Jesus has come off to be replaced by Eddie Nketiah. Not happy, Gabriel Jesus, telling the assistant referee, I've been fouled in the box twice, should have had 2 penalties. And the assistant referee, of course, just laughed it off and told him to carry on walking. And his last action of the game was a horrendous touch. He was found by Ødegaard, and he had Bukayo Saka in acres of space on the right-hand side. If he'd got his touch right, he could have played in Bukayo Saka, and there could have been a chance, but he got it all wrong, and it's just been the story of his game this evening. He's not been at the races. He's been probably one of the worst players on the pitch, I'd say, which, he's a talented player. We've seen what he can do, but in a team where Arsenal are struggling to find an end product, their striker's been their worst player. So Eddie Nketiah is on. We could yet still see the likes of Reece Nelson or maybe Jorginho, but 8 minutes plus injury time to go. As Martin Ødegaard, no, that's Declan Rice goes down in a heap on the floor. Injured, I think. And no, it's Alexander Zinchenko. Went down off the ball. Nobody anywhere near him. So that's a little bit of a worry, but he looks okay. But still trailing Aston Villa by a goal to 0.
It's not the end of the world, isn't it, Billy? If they lose this game, they're still in a very comfortable position. And I'm sure Arsenal fans, I won't say they were expecting to lose today, but they were expected to be faced by a very resilient Aston Villa team today.
Exactly. Villa are one of the form teams in the league. Not many teams beat Man City without conceding a goal. We've seen Chelsea and Spurs take points off of them, but they conceded 4 and 3 respectively. And Arsenal have to go and play Liverpool. That will be a massive game before Christmas. That's the top 2 teams in the league, currently separated by a point. You'd expect Liverpool to do a job against Man United next weekend and maintain their position at the top of the league. But Aston Villa going into the festive period in a fantastic position as well, and I don't think anyone can really complain when they come up against Aston Villa if they get beaten convincingly.
Very much so, absolutely. Thank you very much, Billy Andrews. Let's go to Germany, where RB Leipzig are not happy with the 2. They're really trying to add another one, haven't they, I think, Gardner?
They are, and it's one of the substitutes that came on, Benjamin Sesko, who had a couple of chances here. He was breaking pretty much one-on-one with the goalkeeper not too long ago, and unfortunately was actually caught by the Dortmund defender Meunier, who managed to block the shot on target. Since then, he's had another header saved. Sesko, of course, a young striker we'll see at the Euros next summer with Slovenia. He's one of the stars for that country, of course, alongside goalkeeper Jan Oblak. Dortmund making a couple of changes themselves now up front, bringing on Daniel Malen and Giovanni Reina, because they do sniff a potential late equaliser here. Of course, Daniel Malen, a name at the moment linked with Manchester United in a potential audacious swap deal for Jadon Sancho, if you're to believe the media. But after 81 minutes, with these changes just about to happen, it remains Dortmund 1, Leipzig 2.
We've got a few minutes till the end of the show. It's 4 minutes plus injury time in the game at Villa Park. We'll probably heading back to Nigeria at the final whistle. So we'll stay with you until the end and then we'll hand over. But just a quick reminder of what's happening tomorrow. We got Barry Swain, who's on the hot seat tomorrow from 3 till 7:30 Nigerian time. And we've got really festive games coming up tomorrow. Everton against Chelsea, Fulham against West Ham, Luton Town against Manchester City, and Tottenham Hotspur against Newcastle. We also keep an eye on some of the games in Europe. We've got reporters for Stuttgart against Bayer Leverkusen, who are absolutely on form and probably favourites to win the Bundesliga. Another Bundesliga game is Köln against Mainz, and also keep an eye on Lyon against Toulouse in French Ligue 1. Of course, that is tomorrow from 3 o'clock with Barry Swain. Let's go back quickly to Billy Andrews. 3 minutes to go. I can tell you that betting is suspended, so something must be happening in that game, and Villa just got yellow cards.
Yeah, well, there was a nasty challenge by Matty Cash on Leandro Trossard. Sort of flew in with his studs up. Luckily, it didn't catch Trossard with the full force, otherwise it could have been a nasty tackle, possibly a red card. Eddie Nketiah is down off the ball as well, clutching his face. So whether he's been caught in transition as Arsenal went on the counter. VAR are just having a word with the referee. Pau Torres and John McGinn are surrounding him. If you want to come back to me, I will tell you the outcome of this, but referee are having a word, VAR are having a word with the referee. Diego Carlos saying, I just put my arm out, to try and block him off. I didn't mean to catch him in the face, but that's sort of shoulder barge Eddie Nketiah. But I'll come back to you once we've had the outcome of this VAR check. While waiting for that VAR check, let's have a look on the latest scores, what's happening in Europe at the moment. We're playing in the 87th minute in the Liga. Villarreal 0, Real Sociedad 3. Of course, early on with Mark Thomas, it finished Real Betis 1, Real Madrid 1. Of course, Barcelona and Girona, they're fighting off in the Barcelona derby tomorrow, in the Catalan derby. And if Girona win, they actually go top of the league. So Girona been in a top form this season. Let's go back to Billy Andrews. I think it has only been sorted with a yellow card by the looks of it. Yeah, it was sort of just a free kick and a yellow card for Diego Carlos, just sort of a shoulder into the face of Eddie Nketiah as he went to block off his run. But we saw it in the Man United-Bournemouth game earlier. Rasmus Højlund was fouled and he got booked by the referee for suggesting to the referee he should have booked him for waving the imaginary yellow card. Eddie Nketiah has just done exactly the same thing. And no yellow card for the England striker. So it's interesting to see another lack of consistency in the Premier League. But Aston Villa can't get out of their own defensive third at the moment. Every clearance goes out for another Arsenal throw or goes straight to Declan Rice or Zinchenko. They're piling on the pressure. They got a late winner against Luton on Wednesday. Could they get a late equaliser away at Villa Park? Still 1-0 to the hosts.
Absolutely, that was a great win, wasn't it, for Arsenal? They did beat Luton in that. Well, it was 6 minutes of injury time, didn't they? And then they scored the goal literally a few seconds after that. But no one was complaining. It was a beautiful Declan Rice goal. If you missed that, in the German Bundesliga, it's still Leipzig are leading away to Borussia Dortmund 2-1. But 4 minutes to go. Ethan Gardner. Dortmund, any chance at all of coming back into that game, or more or less forget about the night and just concentrate on the next game?
Well, it's funny actually. I would say since the substitutions that Dortmund look 10 times better. Adeyemi and Marlon have both come on in the attacking line, and I can't really understand why they didn't start. I mean, Dortmund looked flat until they've both entered the pitch, but their pace and trickiness is starting to open up gaps. Maybe it's just because Leipzig's defence is getting tired. If they're going to do anything, they don't have much time, but Dortmund's starting to grow back into the game, and it doesn't even look like they've gone 10 men at the moment. If they do manage to snatch a late equaliser, though, they owe it to Gregor Kobel in goal as well. He's held off a few chances from Leipzig, despite being at fault for the second goal. He has still kept his head up and kept the game respectable. After 86 minutes, it remains Dortmund 1, Leipzig 2.
Let's go straight to Aston Villa. Billy Andrews is all kicking off there.
It's all kicking off at the end at Villa Park, and it's Havertz and Nketiah involved in this. The ball's floated in. It hits the top of the arm of Kai Havertz, then the arm of Matty Cash. There's a foul on Emi Martinez. There's a handball by Eddie Nketiah. They're checking for disallowing this goal for handball on Kai Havertz. Now it touches his elbow and his arm is out. If it doesn't touch his elbow, because his arm is out, making his body bigger, then it will fall to Eddie Nketiah out, or Matty Cash will get hold of the ball. So I think this will be disallowed as we go into 5 minutes of added time.
I'm just watching the incident now, Billy, and it's so confusing, isn't it? And I know VAR got the technology of looking backwards and forwards at it, but when you look at it, it just looks comical, doesn't it? It's just like everyone's passing on to the other with hands going all over the place.
Well, from one angle, it looks like it hits his elbow. From the angle behind the goal, it looks like it hits his chest. It looks like it hits Matty Cash's arm at one point. It's an absolute mess. The referee is quite rightly, he's got the calm and calmed everything down now. He's not been swarmed. I don't know whether he'll be sent over to the monitor for this. I think this will be a case of VAR have seen that this is a clear and obvious one. So he's talking to Declan Rice, he's talking to Martin Odegaard and John McGinn to explain his decision. I think the goal may be ruled out because Kai Havertz has just walked away in disgust and Douglas Luiz is celebrating with the Aston Villa fans. So ball in the back of the net again for Arsenal. Ruled out for handball this time, and it's still Aston Villa 1, Arsenal 0, but it was that man Kai Havertz involved yet again for Arsenal. 4 minutes to go, but there will be a bit more because of that penalty handball kerfuffle.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Billy. 3 minutes of injury time is gone. Still Aston Villa 1. Arsenal, you just heard with this Arsenal goal, and the referee disallowed it, and based on so many handballs and so many, I must admit, even if what other way would have gone, you can't blame VAR because there's just so many elements into it. I mean, less complicated errors or less complicated issues, it probably took ages. Even longer than this incident, so fair play to VAR for clearing up very, very quickly. But half a minute plus stoppage time to go in the German Bundesliga. Dortmund are still losing by 2-1, Ethan Gardner, and Dortmund getting better, aren't they? But I think it's a bit too little too late.
Well, it could be too little too late, but they are indeed getting much better. I mean, they've got threats from all angles here. Leipzig would be happy to hold on for the win at this point. It's going to take a good performance from their defenders. Frustration starting to show from them as well, because they're not really getting their feet on the ball in this last 10 minutes. When they are, they do still look dangerous on the counter, it has to be said. But Dortmund really growing into this, and with odds of 8.5 for Dortmund to get the draw, you wouldn't necessarily rule them out. They've still got added time, of course, to come, and they have a very good home record. After 89 minutes, it remains Dortmund 1, Leipzig 2.
Thank you very much, Ethan. Let's go to Aston Villa. In fact, before we go to Aston Villa, there have been a fourth goal in the German Bundesliga.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
When you just thought Dortmund maybe they'll come back and snatch a draw, RB Leipzig punished them and scored their third of the game. It's Borussia Dortmund 1, RB Leipzig 0. And I can tell you that the goal has been scored by Yusuf Poulsen, the Danish international. So Borussia Dortmund 1, RB Leipzig 3. Let's go to Ethan Gardner. He can tell us more about that goal and how close Dortmund came, but I think it's definitely all over.
Well, I'll tell you what, John, I might have to start making some more outlandish statements because every time I say something, I get immediately proven wrong. But Leipzig have scored their third. It was a devastating counter-attack. And as you said, it was Yusuf Poulsen with the goal. A lovely little feint to get past the defender and slot it neatly past Gregor Kobel in the Dortmund goal. Surely they'll see it out because, of course, it is the 90th minute. We're into added time. And Leipzig now leading. It is Dortmund, leading by 2, sorry. So it is now Dortmund 1, Leipzig 3.
Let's just give you a quick roundup of today's Premier League scores. Early on today, Crystal Palace lost at home to Liverpool by 2-1. Brighton drew with Burnley, a goal each. Manchester United lost to Bournemouth at home by 3-0. Sheffield United beat Brentford by 1-0. Wolves drew at home to Nottingham Forest by a goal each. And now let's go quickly to Billy Andrews. Billy, we exceeded the 5 minutes of injury time, playing in the 6th minute due to the penalty incident and the cut to Emilia Martinez. And Arsenal are trying to really go for it, aren't they? But it seems a bit maybe too little, too late for them.
Yeah, too little, too late. It's getting quite frantic now every time they go forward. John McGinn's just trying to work the ball out. He's want to throw in just inside their own half. And they've brought on Reece Nelson. He did it against Bournemouth. Could he do it against Aston Villa? The Villa fans think they've won it. They're waiting for the referee's whistle to go. They're nearly there. It's still 1-0 to the home side.
It's 1-0 for the home side. I can tell you there's more drama in Germany.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Just when you think that RB Leipzig are actually taking control of that game, Dortmund hit back. It's Borussia Dortmund 2, RB Leipzig 3. 2 minutes left of injury time. Ethan Gardner, tell us about that second goal for the home side.
What a grandstand finish we are getting here. Dortmund immediately back up the other end and immediately scoring a wonderful corner whipped in by Julian Brandt, and it's the striker Niklas Füllkrug who rose the highest. A towering header. He even beats the goalkeeper to it. It's powerful. It's into the back of the net. And with 2 minutes left of added time, well, I said don't rule out Dortmund. Then, of course, they conceded, and I said I was wrong. I'm back firmly in the camp of don't rule out the home side here. It is Dortmund 2, Leipzig 3.
They're still playing at Villa Park, Billy Andrews. Time is running out. We're exceeding the injury time that is specified, which is initially 5 minutes. Arsenal are trying to go for it, but there was a bit of an altercation as well between Havertz and Emilia Martinez.
Yeah, the handbags are out at the end at Villa Park. Emi Martinez came to claim the ball and did the classic goalkeeper's manoeuvre of going to ground to try and waste time. And Kai Havertz just clattered into him knee first, and it took 3 or 4 Aston Villa players and a referee to calm Emi Martinez down. Luckily, neither of them put their heads close to each other, just sort of chest to chest, trying to see who was the bigger man. And the referee, we're still going at Villa Park. We're now into the 98th minute. There can't be long left at Villa Park, but David Raya trying to get his team on the move. Martin Odegaard trying to find that killer pass. Still 1-0.
It's still 1-0 at Villa Park. It's still 3-2 for Leipzig away to Dortmund. We've got about 20 seconds left for that game to finish. Dortmund gave themselves a chance literally by scoring a minute ago. They're still losing by 3-2. Villa are still leading Arsenal. They're still playing. In fact, I can tell you, it's all over at Villa Park. Aston Villa have taken the 3 points of Arsenal. Let's quickly go back to Billy Andrews for a quick full-time report.
Yeah, Aston Villa won. They strengthened their hold on 3rd place in the Premier League. A fantastic, well-drilled win from the former Arsenal manager Unai Emery's side. He's got one over his old employer, Mikel Arteta, storming out of the stands before the full-time whistle was even blown. A fantastic John McGinn goal put them ahead after some fantastic work from Leon Bailey to get past Alexander Zinchenko. He fired it past David Raya. Arsenal in the second half tried to create. They had the ball in the back of the net twice, but both were ruled out, once for offside and once for handball on Kai Havertz. Eddie Nketiah had a fantastic chance at the end, a ball lofted over the top by Ødegaard. He got his header all wrong and it was cannoned over the crossbar. He would have been offside anyway, but he should have done better. Celebrations at Villa Park. Arsenal have to travel back to London with no points. You see the team cohesion for Aston Villa. The fans love it. Arsenal, title contenders. Aston Villa, serious dark horses for something else as well this season. Full time at Villa Park. It's Aston Villa 1, Arsenal 0.
Thank you very much, Billy Angel. I can tell you it's finished in Germany as well. Borussia Dortmund 2, RB Leipzig 3. Well, we come to the end of this session of Football Live. Thank you for everyone for listening. It's been an absolute pleasure to be with you. Many thanks to our excellent pool of reporters who brought you all the goals as they happen. Please join us again tomorrow with Barry Swain, who will be presenting here in a very unusual and unique way, as he always does. I'm John Kane. This was Football Live. And until then, goodbye for now.
You have been listening to Football Live, sponsored by NairaBet and exclusive to Brila FM. Thank you very much to today's host, John Kane, and his producer, Pat Norett. A big thank you also to all of our reporters. Football Live returns at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon on Brila FM with Barry Swain.